Call this meeting of the Baker County Board of County Commissioners to order. I appreciate you all attending. Anyone wants to speak, there's a speaker cards there in the back and agendas there in the back so you can follow along. If you fill out a speaker card and you get it to Miss Kayla or Miss Sarah, she'll get it to me and we'll get you to speak at the appropriate time. We appreciate you being here. If you have a noise-making device, a cell phone or otherwise that'll interrupt the meeting, put it on silent, turn it off, put it in airplane mode, whatever it takes, so we don't interrupt the meeting and slow things down. We do have a brief public hearing tonight that starts at 6 o'clock. At 6, we'll go into the public hearing. Whatever amount of time that takes, then we'll come back into regular session if there's items to be covered after that. Again, I appreciate y'all being here. We'll open with invocation and pledge. Mr. Hartley, can you do the introductions, please?
I certainly will. I have Jade Richardson. She is the current president of the junior class at Baker County High School, and she's going to lead us in the prayer and the pledge today.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this day and the opportunity to be here. I pray that you give each commissioner your wisdom, strength, knowledge, and truth to lead, guide, and make decisions. Thank you for this county and your goodness always in our lives. Let your will be done, and may you forever get the glory. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
We'll now say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Go Cats.
Thanks, J-Bo.
Moving on to approval of the agenda. Ms. Little, I believe you have a change.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. Excuse me. If you will turn your page to the public hearing agenda items, ordinance 2026-01 and 2026-02 were scheduled for final hearing tonight. However, we did receive some information from the applicant this afternoon that he does wish to withdraw those applications from tonight, go over some information with staff, and we'll bring that back at a later date.
I move approval of the agenda as presented with the modification.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as stated with the modifications. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Moving on to elected officials. We have the honor of having Mr. Chuck Brannon here with us tonight.
I'm gonna turn the heat on today. Unexpected. Hey, Jason got shorts on. I'm still in my jacket. Sarah, have you got the
I do have. Do you want a copy
resolution?
of
So
it?
you tell them about that, and I'll tell them what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Representative Brandon is here tonight to discuss Resolution 2026-21 with you all. The state legislature has passed some information about designating U.S. Highway 90 in Baker County between 3rd Street and the Nassau County line as State Representative and / Circuit Judge Honorable John J. Cruz Jr. Memorial Highway. With that being said, it also requires you all from the local government to adopt a resolution in support of that.
Not exactly, but we like
We like it, yes. I think DOT prefers to have that as well.
We don't pay attention to
Yeah,
it.
the Representative Brandon is here to fill you guys in on that.
We filed this legislation back earlier this year, and the governor's already signed it. I guess this is 3rd Street here.
Yes, sir.
Towards US 90 right there. But it's sort of a formality that we like to come to the counties. You should have had to go with me down to Palm Beach County last year when we named the Donald J. Trump Highway from the airport to Mar-a-Lago. That was a little different experience than standing before you today. But we also had to deal with 2 or 3 municipalities down there to do that. But this year I felt like if you look, State Road 121 from the state line to the Union County line is named for Senator Ed Frazier. So Ronald may be the only one old enough to know or remember Judge Cruz.
Yes.
Judge Cruz was born in the northern part of Baker County, just like Senator Frazier, sort of a favorite son of the county. He was in World War II. He was a World War II fighter pilot, Marine fighter pilot. Went to the University of Florida on the GI Bill. Was student body president at the University of Florida. He was in Florida Blue Key and chancellor of the honor court when he was in law school. He did complete his law degree there, returned back home to Baker County, and served as a county attorney for several years before being elected to the legislature in, I think it was 1952-53, and served there until about 1966, and that was when we had the reapportionment come into the state. Back then, every county had a state legislator, all 67 counties. The senators back then, I think, covered Clay. Our senator covered Clay and Baker, and they had a gentleman's agreement. Senator Frazier was swapped with Senator Sanders or Saunders, somebody from Clay County. So if you look back into history, Senator Frazier would be senator for 4 years, and he'd be out for 4 years, and he'd be in for 4 years, and that happened from the 30s all the way through the 60s. But when that reapportionment came, of course, it became harder to be elected to the legislature from a small county. Yeah. Ask me that, I know how hard that is. But he was out for about a year, and then he was placed on the circuit court, served as chief judge of the circuit court. And somebody sent me a video the other night, and it was back, if y'all remember these things we used to have called Back to Baker in 1986 or 1987, and I watched Mr. Cruz talking about McClenny and how he got a lot of the money to pave the streets here in the city of McClenny. So a real favorite son of Baker County, was very effective in the legislature, brought home lots of money and lots of projects, and we'll talk about that if I can talk about other things in just a second where we are right now. But his daughter, Deborah Cruz Treese in Jacksonville, is an attorney. His other son, Brian, lives in Orlando. His third son has already passed, John J. III. But they're excited. In fact, she when she found out, you all saw the tears in her eyes. She said, "I didn't think anybody in Baker County knew who my daddy was anymore." And I said, "Well, we're going to remember Judge Cruz and with these memorial markers." Of course, during my tenure, I guess I've named probably hundreds of places around the state for mostly policemen killed in the line of duty, but also for prominent citizens. So here in Baker County, we did the Trooper Sherman Lee Scott Highway on the interstate, and then of course a couple years ago the intersection up at Twin Bridges where Deputy Sheriff Morris Fish was killed. So if you're familiar with what those markers look like, that's what we'll do in a month or so. After DOT gets the signs made, we'll have a little short ceremony. She wants Deborah wants Brian to be able to come up from Orlando and maybe meet inside the courthouse where it's a little cooler, because the marker will be right here, and unveil that sign. And I'm sure that they'll be here, and that means a lot to them. So we appreciate you. If you'll give us your blessing, we'll move forward with that.
Move approval of resolution 2026-21, read by title.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Sarah, will you read by title,
Absolutely.
please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 2026-21, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, designating that portion of U.S. Highway 90 in Baker County between North 3rd Street and the Nassau County line is designated as State Representative Circuit Judge Honorable John J. Cruz Jr. Memorial Highway.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions before we vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And motion carries.
When I was in college in Gainesville, I was on the student traffic court. I mentioned Judge Cruz had been chancellor of the honor court when he was there, when he was in law school. And he came over a couple of times to our traffic court, and he would always tell me, he said, "Everybody thinks I'm a mean guy because I'm a judge." And he had a way of looking down at his glasses at you, too. He pulled them glasses down off the bench. And of course, Judge Cruz did lots of importance, a lot of murder cases, and a lot of people to prison on those cases down there in Gainesville. But he told me, he said, "I'm really just a teddy bear, and I love Baker County." And the last time I saw him, I was leaving the Gator football game. It must have been about 1986 or so. And I ran into Judge Cruz there on the sidewalk, and he passed away just a few weeks later of a heart attack. So I know his family is proud of that, and I'm proud of y'all for doing that, and we'll get this done. Is there anything you want to ask me while I'm here? We're on a brief little breakaway from the Capitol. We've been there last week and this week on the budget. So I'll entertain any questions if you got them.
I'm good right now.
I've got your projects pulled up here, the ones that are still live, and that's the fire rescue ambulance at about $450,000.
Yep.
We've already gotten you $900,000 for that courthouse renovation. We've got $900,000 that's still in play again. And then, of course, the big project we're working on this year affects you too, but it's not exactly under your purview, and that's $51,939,586 toward a new middle school. We got, was it $250,000 last year, Jay?
Yes, sir. And then next year it'll be another 50.
Altogether, about $105 million project. So obviously, the Legacy Elementary started out about $29 million. I think wound up being $40 million before we got it built. But obviously, small counties can't build these schools without us doing that. Sarah called me a while back, and I encouraged y'all to do the resolution. I guess y'all did the one on the water thing.
We did 11.
Y'all saw
yes,
where
sir.
we knocked about $20 million out of the budget. I got tickled the other night. Sometimes when I'm in Tallahassee, it'll pop up my phone that the commission's meeting. So when I'm sitting there and my little boy's got a set of headsets. I don't put that on, but I put something in my ear where I can listen. And y'all were talking about the world we live in and Facebook and all the crazy rumors that go out there and people that tell lies about you. And believe me, they've told plenty about me. I have not been very vocal about it because I was working. I knew what we had to do this year to put the stop to it. So there are people that tell you that I voted for that project. There's no bill in the House. It's had Water First North Florida in it. That's not true. But I was able to, I guess the day that we named the airport as a part of these road naming bills, we also named the airport in Tallahassee for Coach Bowden.
Yes.
And Senator Simon and I met that day, and I had never let any money get in the House for this project. I kept it out. I had blocked it. I was lucky to be in a position that I could do that. And Senator Simon made a pledge to me that he'd get it knocked out of the Senate budget. So we had to lay low for about a month because the session ended. We didn't finish the budget, so the budget's still in play. So we can't make any moves on money, whether we're getting money or trying to knock stuff out of the budget that we don't think are good ideas, until we convened again last week with the budget. And one of the first things he did was keep his word, and that $20 million got knocked out. Now, where did that come from? We were blindsided with it, just like everybody else. Jason, I tell you, we started getting calls at our office late February, early March. I'd never heard those words before. I didn't know what that was. My secretary didn't know what it was. And I think the first real exposure where we were exposed to it was when they went before the Columbia County Commission. And of course, I think all the commissions were opposed to the project. The water management districts apparently for several months, have maybe longer than that, can't quite get to the bottom of that yet, have been working on those projects, maybe more so St. John's than Swanee River, but both. And apparently the Department of Environmental Protection too, because they were the ones that had the $20 million put in the budget. So anyway, that's what I know about that. We'll continue to work that. The budget's not over till it's over. Hopefully we'll vote on that by probably May 29, maybe something like that. So maybe we'll be back to see you again and deliver you a big check like we've done every year. Jason, how much? What was the number for Baker?
That was north of 50 million, sir, total.
So far, yeah. Not counting scrap and Scott and other road projects. So that's where we are this year. So you can see right there with the middle school project sitting at almost 52 million. We made double what we brought home to Baker County just this year. So we should be somewhere north of 100 million. And I think about 700, maybe we're hoping to get to 750 million. That's, I think, if I'm doing math right, $750 million for our counties this year. What was the third thing? There was three things. The money, the budget. Nobody has any tax questions?
Got
Still-
plenty of tax questions.
Still
We're just waiting
eagerly
on you to have
awaiting the
answers.
governor's plan. Y'all follow the news just like we do. I'm sure if we get out of there by the 29th on the budget, we'll be back in June somewhere to do something, I believe, on taxes where we are. Probably if I stood here last year at this time, I would have been giving you the same answer because we don't know exactly what the proposal is for this year, of course. So very important to us because it affects us in many ways, especially in small counties.
Yes.
I've never spoken publicly. Y'all know behind the scenes. I also work to help y'all from getting dinged on the audits. I remember getting a call. This is 26. I think Chris Doolin called me around Valentine's of 25 in a tither, saying, "Hey, you got to save Baker County." They lost $66,000 for not getting their audit done, and we were able to do that and get y'all some extensions. Chip Lamarca from Broward County, a good friend of mine, was able to do that, and of course now maybe y'all are sort of back on the right track with that. I will tell you, it has made my life more miserable in Tallahassee trying to get money. It's not easy to get money. It's not easy to get money when there's questions, and that's made our job a little tougher. But thank God we had a good relationship with Jay Lack, and we were able to intervene there a couple of times to got you another extension this year too, and you were able to get in there on that.
That was for the prior year, correct? For the prior year. This year we should be on
Yeah,
track.
we're always a
Yeah,
year in
that's
arrears,
right.
but
The one we turned in
twice
February.
we were able to get some JLAC extensions to
Yes, sir.
keep you. If you go in their committee room, they got a board up there, and it's like a dry erase board. Jason's been there, and they got the offenders, the bad offenders, and the worst offenders. And Baker County was the only county in the worst offender category.
Mhm.
So that's been a challenge for me to try to fight for these dollars here. But next time we go in there, hopefully we won't be in the worst category.
Believe me, it's been a challenge for
It
us.
has, and I understand that. But hopefully we'll be off of that. That being said, we try. I don't think we've ever raised. I know we hadn't ever raised taxes since I've been in office in Tallahassee. We've cut tax. We cut the business rent tax. Finally, it's gone to zero. But I do want to throw this out there as I guess it's a taxpayer, and y'all make your own decisions. This new money that you have found out that you have, that you maybe didn't know you didn't have, which I guess is strange, but it's better than being that in the hole. It's better to be to the positive. But the valuations on the homes are going up, and I was watching it back about 2020 when the COVID started going up. Of course, the values of the homes started going up, and my taxes probably have gone up, I'd say $600 in about 6 or 7 years. So obviously that was happening to me, it was happening to you, and it was happening to everybody in the audience. So that, I guess, obviously is where the money was coming from. But if there's any way to consider, and we talked about this in Tallahassee the other day, and I don't know how you would do it, the nuts and the bolts of it, but, and y'all know this, but remember this, it's the people's money. So I know you'd like to have a healthy reserve. It probably hovered around 4 or 5 million, we thought, and maybe if you got a better reserve, I saw some numbers thrown out, 10 or 11 million. But as a legislator and as a taxpayer, if there was any way to return some of that money to the taxpayers, I would be for that. We look for ways to do that, and that's quite frankly why we're looking at this these tax proposals that'll come up in this session in the next few weeks. So if there's a way to do that, not telling you how to do your job, but just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know that there's ever been a tax rebate, property tax rebate check come back to people, but that's a lot of money, and the people did pay it. It belongs to them. So consider that as you move forward. And I appreciate what y'all do as stewards for the county, and I will keep fighting hard for this money. And like I said, hopefully I'll be back with a check for y'all in a few weeks. Everything will move rather fast this year because if we get this done by the end of the month, the governor will have to do his vetoes before the month of June is out, because the budget takes effect July 1st. So it won't be too long before we'll be back. But I'll look to for all 5 counties to do that. I saw a guy running the other day. There's about 4 of them running to take my place. I saw one of them said that he wasn't going to do. He called them earmarks. That's a congressional term, but he said he wasn't. He called me a cash cow, and it pissed me off when I heard it. He said, your current legislator's been a cash cow for these out-of-control governments. Now, I don't think the Baker County School Board or the Union County Commission or the Baker County Commission has been out of control. But I'll wear that banner proudly because I have been a cash cow for my counties. I know that these rural counties could not do these things. They couldn't build these fire stations. They couldn't certainly build these $105 million schools. So hopefully, we won't get somebody in there that says, I'm not gonna put in projects for counties, because if that happens, that's bad news for all of us. And we all need to be cognitive of that. So I've covered a lot of topics today. I'm going out of office in November. If I think of anything else that I think I need to tell you about when I come back with your check, I'll tell you about that too. So if y'all don't have anything else, y'all got a meeting, and I'll get out of here.
We'll welcome you back. We appreciate
got
you,
more budget
Representative
work to do.
Brannon. You've done a lot for Baker County.
Well, we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep trying and keep working. But like y'all said, it's the political season, it's the Facebook silly season,
Yeah.
and y'all get dinged and we get dinged. But some people are just ill-informed. Some people just like to say things that aren't true. So be cognizant of that as we move into what I call the silly time of year. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you using your influence to help Baker County.
We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing it for Union. We're going to keep doing it for the rural part of Alachua County represent. Columbia County is still a rural county, and then they got 76,000 people over there. They're a lot different than Baker and Bradford.
Yep.
We're going to keep doing it for Bradford. We're going to keep doing it for all of them. Lake City's growing. They're on the cusp of not becoming a fiscally constrained county as far as what the rules are anymore. We've looked at trying to help them there too, because they really are still a rural county, and that will be a tough transition for them too. We've got some PILTs and payments in lieu of taxes that we've been able to get always for Columbia County. We got one for Union County last year with the prisons. That has been a godsend to Union County. I think they get $300,000 payment in lieu of taxes every year. So that's been an important thing for them. So when you walk away and you see the thing, you see the brick and mortar things, but the things you can't see, like the payment in lieu of taxes that a small county like Union gets, you know that all the hard work and the criticism is worth it at the end of the day, because you just put your head down, you keep your nose to the grindstone, and you try to do the right thing. That's all anybody can ask, right?
Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
y'all.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I personally want to thank you for, your help with JLAC and, the extensions and everything else. And also apologize on behalf of the county for being in that worst category.
You don't.
It's definitely not the category we want to be in. And looking forward to another good update tonight, where we're looking to have the audit done by the June 30th deadline and be in compliance for the first time in quite a few years. And that's a super big goal personally for myself, and trying to make the county get back in that compliance and get back in good graces. As a fiscally restrained county, I think it's super important that we're good stewards of the money and can provide the updates and audits showing, like, hey, here's where all of our money has went, and here's the money we received, and here's what we've done with that money. And definitely want to consider our reserve account is something as a board. I know we're going to talk about it tonight. Maybe next meeting we talk about it and discuss it in deeper detail. But definitely with the excess money, we should consider, what could we do with that? I'm not so much of a rebate, but what can we dump into what kind of projects and stuff like that. So it's something that, as a board, we are definitely considering, and we'll be talking about in the near future for sure. But thank you for everything you've done and helping on that end.
Well, there's a lot of municipalities, mostly small towns, like Rayford's in trouble right now with JLAC. They're in the bad category too. So I would say that it's not so much always has historically been counties. It's more or less been the smaller.
That's right.
And of course, when you're a small town like Rayford or Lawdy or somewhere that they have issues of dealing with lots of things. So they just don't have very many employees and able to do that. But, we were glad to be able to intervene there, and like I say, nothing we touted before, but we were able to buy you those extra months. It
Sure.
gave you the time to get to work and make sure you didn't lose money.
That's right.
$6,000 is not a lot, but it is a lot, and you don't want to do that every year.
Oh, it's a lot.
And
I
make
mean,
that happen.
that's a big deal. It's taxpayer money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Seeing no other elected officials, we'll move on to public comments. I don't have any public comments cards. If you have a public comment that you care to make, there's cards there in the middle and the back. If you'll fill out a card and get it to Miss Sarah or Miss Kayla, we'll try to address that as we move forward. Moving on to consent agenda items. What's the pleasure of the group?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Moving on to new business. We have Miss Sarah Little up, presentation of BCFR administrative staff. Miss Sarah Little.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So as you all are aware, and the public is aware, Chief Nelson retired in the last couple of weeks with fire rescue, and he leaves behind some big shoes to fill. So tonight, I am proud to introduce 3 outstanding leaders in the Baker County Fire Rescue Department. They're going to be stepping into some new roles. We did decide to do some restructuring on the administrative side of fire rescue. So what you're going to see moving forward, I'm going to lose my voice, is that we're going to have a fire chief who also serves as our fire marshal. And then instead of an assistant fire chief, we actually have 2 captains positions. So I'd like to recognize our new fire chief and fire marshal, Don Blanton, who has been promoted to fire chief, who has demonstrated strong leadership and dedication throughout his time being here with us. And we know he's going to do an outstanding job. In addition to Chief Blanton, we also would like to recognize Captain Jimmy Matthews and also Captain Salazar, Michael Salazar. Captain Matthews will serve as our captain of administrative services, and Captain Salazar will serve as our captain of field operations. So we're excited to have them here. What makes these promotions especially meaningful is that all 3 of these individuals were active fire rescue employees. They were promoted from within our own ranks. And so we're just glad to have them here. And we know that we've got a tremendous talent right here in our own backyard, and we know that these guys are going to do a great job for us. I'd also like to thank their wives who are here. We've got on the back row Miss Amy, Miss Tabitha, and Miss Phoebe, who are all here, very supportive of the fire rescue department and of their spouses. And just thank you guys for sharing them with us. We've got a good team of people here. So with that being said, I know that Chief Blanton and the captains may have a few words that they want to say, and I think that some of the commissioners wanted to do some recognition as well.
Yeah, I'm fine. Listen, this is a big deal. When you work in a business and your boss decides that he needs to retire or and things of that nature, it's inevitable that you wonder, what's the company going to do? What do you do next when somebody steps off and retires after many years? And this was not on the radar by a lot of us, and I guess this fly's going to be all over my head tonight, but I take this real serious, and y'all put a lot of confidence in us. This county is a wonderful place to live, and I wish I'd have moved here 25 years ago. I'm sure at some point I'll stub my toe and do something that I have to apologize for or ask for your forgiveness, but I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that we love living here, we love working here, we love this county, and we're going to do you a good job, and we're going to give it 100%, and y'all need to know that. And we thank you for having the confidence to let us do this job and move forward, and we appreciate the opportunity. We really do. Thank you so much.
Any comments from the board?
Welcome aboard. I mean, you've been aboard, but welcome to the top.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you so much.
All the phone calls.
That's right.
I'm glad to see all the spouses. I mean, because it never ends.
That's right.
It never ends.
That's
The
right.
phone calls and everything, it's all throughout the night. So it takes a special someone.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you stepping up.
Yes, sir.
Chief, we want to thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir.
And we especially want to thank your families for allowing you and the new captains to be employees of Baker County. And y'all have a hard job, but you do it with passion, and that means a lot to us. When I go on the field, sometimes you'll see me, I'll show up and they said there's a burn. I'm easing up there just to see. And the dedication of the Baker County Fire Department is outstanding. The dedication of our sheriff's deputies is outstanding. We live in a special place,
We do.
and it's because of people like y'all. And I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I wanted to just say the professionalism that I see in this department and all our departments are just above anything you could ever ask. Y'all are always professional, and I think that says a lot for the county, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
I wanted to echo what Commissioner Hartley said about the professionalism. I deal with the fire department on sometimes a daily, sometimes a weekly basis, and you guys are always super professional, and I appreciate the work that you guys did. And I hope that Solly doesn't mind me sharing this, but Solly and I had a phone conversation today, and it was really exciting to me, encouraging to me, better off, to hear Mike Salazar talk about how he was excited about what's happening in the department, what's happening in the county, and where the county's going and where the department's going, the changes that are being made, and the progress that we're making. And I feel like that's encouraging. It's encouraging that our people, that our departments are excited about. They're excited to serve us, our citizens, and to come to work every day. And so I appreciate you guys. And so thank you for that encouragement, that I know that you enjoy coming to work now. Not that you enjoy coming to work now, I'm sorry. He didn't say that, let me just clarify. But my point is that our professionals, they enjoy coming and serving our citizens, and that makes our job a lot easier. So thank you guys for doing what you did.
Yes, sir.
And Solly loved his job before. Let me just make that clear. I'm sorry. That come out wrong.
I appreciate all three of you.
Yes, sir.
It means a lot to the county. Baker County is family. You can go to the sheriff's office. It don't matter where you go in Baker County. You can come to the county office. Baker County is about family. And to have you here, from here, working for here, the level of professionalism is big city. We're never going to be big city, but the level of professionalism in your department and your group, the leadership that you have for there, the level that you operate at, is pure professionalism. We appreciate all that you do. Congratulations on your recent exam and becoming our fire marshal.
Yeah.
That's a big step for Baker County. It's very important. A lot of responsibility comes with it, and we appreciate you for accepting it with pride and graciously.
Thank you. Let me just say one more thing that I should have said a minute ago. I'm going to tell y'all something that comes with this job that I did not know. I thought I had been around the block and done it for 30 plus years before I came to work here, working next door in the city of Jacksonville. But what I didn't know when I came to work here was I worked in a city for 31 years and never went on a call where I knew the person. And nor did the crew that I was with know the people. They were just a face. And I didn't know when I came here that there's not a week, there's almost not a day, that when you go to somebody's house or in the roadway or wherever you are that has a tragedy, it's somebody's uncle, cousin, somebody you went to school with, you go to church with. Everybody knows everybody. And the impact in this town, when something bad happens, affects everybody in the town.
Yep.
And 2 or 3 times we've been to some emergencies in the last year that involved some infants. And to watch every deputy in this county, and I mean every deputy in this county, and everybody that works for our organization, and everybody at the hospital drop what they're doing because they care as a county, was something I wasn't used to seeing. And I just wanted to know that you have a wonderful county that you represent, and some good people live here. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Moving on to Choose Baker update, Dylan Pullen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Tonight we wanted to come before you and give you a very brief, high-level update on the Choose Baker economic development activities. The real purpose of tonight is not to get in the weeds about specific projects, but really where we are as a whole. Our intention is to do this every 3 to 4 months to give you guys an overview, and of course our office is always open for additional information as needed. So to give you an update of who we are as Choose Baker, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm not technologically savvy. The commissioners who come in our office know that I'm paper and pen type of fella. So let's see if this works for me. Our mission statement, Choose Baker exists to promote sustainable economic growth in Baker County by attracting and supporting quality businesses, strengthening the local workforce, and fostering an environment where residents, employers, and communities can thrive.
Point it this way, Dylan.
There we go. So who does economic development? That's a question we get quite frequently. Who's actually in charge of economic development? The correct answer is it's really a team effort here. So there are 4 entities that play their own unique role in economic development, starting off with the Baker County Board of County Commissioners, being you guys, the Baker County Development Commission, the Choose Baker Economic Development Office, and the Baker County Chamber of Commerce. So we all partner together to get it done. You see this happen a lot in your rural counties. It's not easy for any one person to pull the weight, so we all partner together and we get it done. Here I go messing it up. Here we go. Why establish Choose Baker? So this was an initial pitch. You may have heard me talking about this at a lot of our events of establishing Choose Baker as a separate and independent 501c3 from the Chamber. Choose Baker is focused on supporting existing industries and recruiting new industries. Choose Baker was established as a 501c3, separate and distinct from the Chamber of Commerce, to promote transparency and efficiency. So in 2012 era, when Choose Baker started, when that term started coming, it was really a promotional opportunity. It was a marketing play, and it did really well, and it served its purpose. But as Choose Baker grows, the Chamber felt that it was probably best that we take those funds and we put them in a separate 501c3 where they have their own 990 being reported at the end of the year, and try to clean up the muddy water, so to speak, on what's Chamber and what's economic development. And so that's part of it. So we've finished our foundational documents. We've established a nonprofit. Right now, the loading symbol is the next step of this plan is to get a strategic plan together. Then we'll come back and ask the county to say, hey, can we finally work out what exactly Choose Baker's roles and responsibilities versus the other entities and get that recognized, and then we're ready to get to work. So that's kind of a timeline of where we are. What we do, again, development, recruitment, retention, and workforce. A lot of people hear economic development and they assume that all we do is go out and try to attract new businesses. Well, that's an important part of it. If we go and we recruit 600 jobs and we lose the Walmart DC, we haven't really gained anything. So retention is just as much of an active role, and a lot of that comes in workforce. There's a huge problem. I'm not telling you anything that you guys don't know. That workforce is a huge problem across the country right now. It's not an issue that is specific to Baker County, but how we solve that, how we help them address those needs. So it's recruitment and retention that we do there. I will not go through all this in detail, but why choose Baker County? Why move your business here to begin with? Number one, it's our location. Being this close to the Jacksport, being this close to some major interstates works in our favor. The availability of our industrial land. You've got some of our surrounding counties who you can only build so much, and so they start looking at where they can spread out a little bit. They don't like being on top of one another, just like we typically don't like residential being on top of one another, and so Baker County allows them that opportunity. Competitive business environment, workforce access, infrastructure and site readiness, and then our regional partners make a big difference, and so all those combined together are really what makes Baker County special. This is for you guys and more so the public of how economic development recruitment works. You know, we hear of a project coming, there's rumors of a project coming, we don't have the details. So really want to walk through how we get from the time we even learn about a project to the time that we're now out there doing a ribbon cutting. And so the process, I compare this to dating. It starts with lead generation. You got your eye on somebody. And so what happens there, it typically comes to us in the form of an email. And so that email can come from Jax USA, sometimes it comes from FPL, sometimes it comes from the Northeast Florida Economic Development Council that we've got. It comes from all of our different parties, and they'll come in and say, here's what they're looking for. And we submit our sites. That becomes an RFI response. So far this year, we have 16 different requests for information that we've received since January the 1st. Now, we don't fit all 16 of those requests by any means, and so we don't respond to all of them. We only respond to the ones that we feel like we could qualify for and have a discussion with. The questions that we always ask is, do we have a place for it, and is it good for Baker County? And with those, we'll respond to those RFIs. So from lead generation, we go to RFI, we're flirting in that stage, and then we finally go on a date when we do a site visit and due diligence. And so sometimes they come here, sometimes they send their site consultants, sometimes they send their engineers. But this is where we're doing our due diligence. This is where the maps come from and the images come from. This is when a lot of the private discussions start taking place of hey, if we want to come, what does workforce look like? What do those incentives look like? Then we finally get engaged when we get down to site selection. And so that is where we are with two of our projects at the moment of, hey, we've identified somewhere that we want to come to. Details are not finalized yet. We just spent a lot of money on a ring. And so we finally get to closing and implementation. That's the hardest one to ever get to. You can get through the first steps pretty quickly. Closing and implementation is the longest part of the process. Put it in perspective, that's the marriage. That's when the bride is happy, the mother's crying, and the father's asking how much is it going to cost. Is about when you get to that last stage of closing and implementation. So this process can range from 2 years or 2 months to several years. I'm aware of projects in Florida that, my understanding, are 8 years old at this point. So it varies based on project size. A $10 million investment moves a lot quicker than a $100 million investment, which moves a lot quicker than a $1 billion investment. And so that's why sometimes you hear, well, this project was talked about. Sometimes it's still being talked about. It just takes us some time to get across the finish line. Just really quickly, some of our partners, these are not all of them, but Jax USA, Northeast Florida Economic Development Partnership, Florida Power and Light, Florida Commerce, and Career Source Northeast Florida. These are the ones we talk to almost on a daily basis. We're talking to one of them about helping us solve an issue, helping planning for the future, helping us with a current need that we may have in Baker County. Of course, let me just say that the Commission, as well as the City Commission and the Development Commission, help pay for the Jax USA membership dues and the NFEDP. So that is an investment that we make, and we get services that counties like Baker, we couldn't possibly get the statistics, the data, and the professional services that these guys offer. Our budget would be in the hundreds of thousands to get professional staff if we had to employ them. So we partner with these guys who have those professional services, and they look out for us as a region. Talk about some of the lots we've got available. This is East Enterprise. This down here is the existing Walmart DC. So there are 3 lots that the Development Commission owns. The first lot, which is here, is 6.54 developable acres. Lot number 2 is 20.65 developable acres, and lot number 3 is 20.76 developable acres that the Development Commission currently owns. This is independent. It is not included here. There's been some discussions of what we might need to do with that lot in the future to keep everybody safe and keep everything moving along. But this is just a conceptual image. This is nothing set in stone. This just shows you what we could accommodate out there. Those are lots the Development Commission owns today. They are for sale today. And if you know somebody who wants to buy them, tell them to come talk to me today. Another site that the Development Commission owns is the Plum Creek Industrial Site. This is 140 acres, which the Commission just recently rezoned to industrial. This site sits off of US 90 by the Department of Corrections down here. And so this site, the Development Commission bought it, I believe it's in 2008. We call it Plum Creek. I explained at a meeting this morning simply because that's what the old owners' names were. Sometimes people ask why we come up with funny names. Plum Creek was just easy. That's what the old owners' names were, so we just went with it. So it is 140 acres. You may have read in the press this past week that the Development Commission took action to enter a purchase contract with a company that we know as Project Island. And this is, again, now we're in the due diligence phase, okay? So we're engaged, we're not married just yet, and this process will play itself out. There's 90 days at least worth of due diligence that they will have to do on the property. There are no finalized plans, but it's anticipated, I'll say that again, it's anticipated to be a $10 million investment and about 150 new jobs to Baker County. To the people who say, when are we going to get more information? The moment they file a site plan with Baker County, we're going to know exactly what's going on out there. And that's what we're really waiting on next, is let us see exactly what you're going to build. Through this due diligence, they've got people on the ground, in the property, they're bringing their maps together, they've got their architects working. they're doing their due diligence to figure out what they can do, what would be permissible to do. As soon as we get some site plans together, we'll come right back before the commission and say, let's talk a little bit more about Project Island now. The other one we've got is Woodstock Industrial Site. Total acres of 1,400 acres. Developable is about 832. As you guys know, that this land is privately owned and it is planned to become the future home of Plant AS. It is by far the largest site that is available in Baker County. To that point, discussed a little bit at the last meeting, Plant AS, you guys have heard those numbers before, $750 million capital investment, over 600 new jobs. That is planned to go at the Woodstock site. With that being said, I'm going to very quickly just run through some of the things that we're working on and stop for questions before we get into the public hearing. I will not steal the county's thunder here, only to say that East Enterprise Infrastructure Improvements in 2023, Baker County got a $3 million grant. I want to stop to say thank you to Ms. Sarah Little, to Ms. Remy, to Chris Lee, and all the staff who played a role in here. One of the first conversations Sarah and I had was about this grant. Got thrown into the deep end, but we swam to the surface. We'll not talk about it in detail. I'll let them get you guys excited, but I'm excited of what's going to happen out there. I think it positions us very, very well for the future of Baker County, and thank the Department of Commerce for allowing us to do that. Second thing we're working on is zoning compliance. We did this, you guys saw with Plum Creek. We went through it. Every parcel we own, what is it currently zoned, what's the future land use, and how do we need to bring that into compliance? And so right now there's only 2 more sites. One of them we need a rezone and future land use amendment. One of them just needs a rezone. The future land use is already in place. But you'll be seeing those applications before you. East Enterprise Marketing, as you see, this is a new graphic. And so we're waiting on some 3D renderings to come back from another professional services group to make ourselves look good. The images we had were good. They were just a little outdated. And so now it's time for when we go out and market these sites to make them look really, really nice and shiny and make them look good. And so that's what we've been working on. And then you heard me talk about the strategic plan that we need to get in place. I'm unaware of one that was ever really done specifically for economic development. And so this one, with our partners, with Jack's USA, NFEDP, all of those partners are going to help us. We're going to need their help. Partially on the financial side, but really we're a region. We treat economic development as a region. We're partners in this, and so we want to make sure that our strategic plan aligns with what the region is doing. After all, they're typically the ones who filter down those leads, and if our strategy looks totally different than their strategy, then we're not communicating very well. And so we're excited to get that plan up and running. We're getting quotes right now to figure out about approximately how much that's going to cost. And that's the update that I have. I talk fast. I went through that really quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Very informative. Thank you, Dylan.
So, perfect. If you guys need anything at all, our doors are always open. Please give us a call. Come by. We're happy to help you. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Hey,
This was listed as an action item. I assume there is no
No, sir.
action. Let's see if we can make it through Chief Blanton and Safer Grant. Can you talk quick?
Back in the podium again. I have to make this quick. I've come before you tonight, as y'all know, in 2021, Baker County was awarded a grant from the federal government, from FEMA, to help get the department staffed. It was a 3-year project, and it's helped us really kickstart things and get things moving years ago with funding. It's the SAFER program. Most of y'all have been through that before. It's a program where if they choose to award the grant to the county for the first 2 years, the federal government will pay for 75% of the salaries for the employees that we hire. The third year, we pay for 75%. So we pay 25% for year 1. We pay 25% for year 2. 75% for year 3, and then in year 4, we take ownership of the 100% of the employee cost. We awarded it in 2021. Since then, we've applied 2 or 3 other times and were not awarded. We have researched why that might be. We've talked to people from the federal level with our Congresswoman's office, people that are in Washington, different people. And there's some theories behind how you fill out your paperwork, what you're asking for. They all, at the federal level, this thing is tied into what's a federal standard of what they call the 2 in, 2 out, 4-person model is what they framework is behind this whole program. That being the case, just like we came to you last year, the timing to be here right now is that FEMA falls under DHS. They were in a funding shutdown. As y'all watch the national news, you know where that is, and nobody knew when that was going to end. We got word at the end of April that the shutdown was over, and we should start suspecting this was going to happen sometime soon. These programs open back up. In anticipation of that, back in early April, Remy Borderland, that y'all hired as the grant manager for the county, and I think y'all probably know she's doing a wonderful job. She came to us in a staff meeting and she said that we as a county have a contract with North Florida Professional Services for grant writing ability. They have a grant writing staff, and she was going to meet with them on other issues that involve civil road projects or just other things that were not involved in fire rescue. So we asked her, when you meet with them, can you find out, do they have any knowledge or anybody in this field? And come to find out, they have on staff a member that's been writing state grants for EMS and fire rescue for over 10 years. He had a long background with the Department of Health of the state of Florida, and has a good track record on being successful in his grants. So she arranged for us to have a Teams meeting with him, find out what he was about, his background, and we thought he was a good fit to take on this project for us. So where we're at with y'all tonight, we put a motion in last week with the county manager for an agenda item tonight to ask for permission to have North Florida Professional Services write a SAFER grant proposal to FEMA for this upcoming year. That was Thursday of last week. At about 3:45 yesterday afternoon, we got an email that FEMA was going to open the project up, and it opened at 9 o'clock this morning. It'll be open till the 22nd of June. And I think because of the timeline with them being out of funding for so long, they've in that email, they say they will award by sometime in September of this year, so it won't drag a long time out to know who is awarded or not. So we're before y'all tonight to ask for permission to apply for this, for funding for our individuals for the department. I think y'all know where we are. The goal here is to attempt to try to let the federal government help us in some capacity to better staff the north side of the county. Y'all have already given us the money for housing up there and the infrastructure and all that. You've already done that at this point, and that's just where we are, and we're bringing it to you to see how you feel about it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes, please.
Just procedurally tonight, you guys would be approving the task work order with North Florida Professional Services. They would then write the grant, and that would be brought back before you all as well, before we submitted it. So we wouldn't have, if you guys had specific questions on the grant itself, we probably are not able to actually answer that tonight. This would just be the first step for Hunter to start writing that grant for us.
So we would approve the task order for them to write the grant,
Absolutely.
and then it would come back before us hopefully by June 3rd,
Yes.
so that we could submit the grant,
Yes.
correct? Before the June 22nd deadline.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Can he turn it around that quick?
We've been having these conversations with him for several weeks. He understands what the county's needs are and what our direction is.
Mhm.
So absolutely, I don't have any concerns with that.
Yeah, we started several weeks ago talking and researching this, knowing it was coming. We didn't know it was going to happen at 9 o'clock this morning, but nonetheless, we knew it was coming one of these days in the next few weeks, so that's where we are.
Right.
Enjoy.
Ms. Sarah, do we have the funds available in this current budget?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely have to be the June 2nd
Mhm.
meeting. I would suggest the June 2nd. That way we got plenty of time to get it in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. How many positions would this fund? Do you know?
The way this was designed, it would be four positions per day for a total of 12 people. And like I said, they would pick up the percentages that I told you on the funding. And I think they do this honestly for departments to have an ability to grow into things that you can't afford to do. And right off the bat, that's a heavy lift.
Sure.
And it's our way of trying to get some help to help the county fund things that we need, and that's where we are.
You
Yes,
know
sir.
what that funding would be at the end of the grant? What will the county
What would
have
the
to
total
pay?
cost be at the end?
Yes. Or
I
can
hate
you
to-
get that for us?
Yes, sir, that would be part of the grant application, so we can fund up to that many positions or any number in between. We have been given some direction that meeting those standards is what scores higher on the applications, but absolutely, we can have that back before you all.
I'd like to have that number.
Yes, sir,
If we
sir.
could, if we could have that before next meeting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is a case where, we're going into the budget season and we're crunching numbers and we're figuring out what we can do. And it might be a case where the county says, look, we'll fund half of these and half of these we put towards this grant or something of those nature, as long as when it's all said and done, it matches the number that the federal government's looking for the people. How we build that grant and what that looks like in the narrative, that's all part of this process.
Sure.
I move approval of the SAFER grant application.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the SAFER grant application process. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll resume special session at 6 o'clock.
Good evening, good evening. So I just have two items for you guys this evening. They are both first reading, so no action required tonight. The first thing that I have for you this evening is a rezoning request. This is for ordinance number 2026-09, a rezoning with a request of agriculture 7.5 to agriculture 5. This application is submitted to us by Mr. and Mrs. Bishop. The property is located off of Leon Dobson Road in Sanderson. It is a 10-acre parcel right now with a current land use of agriculture B and a zoning of agriculture 7.5. This is one of those lots along Leon Dobson that is kind of divided by the road. There's just an odd section along Leon Dobson that the property is on both sides of the road, and this is one of those. They've been that way for quite some time. Currently, the parcel's in compliance with all current zoning and land use standards. However, the applicants would like the ability to put a second home on their parcel in the future, most likely on the other side of the road. They live on one side, the new home would most likely go on the other side. Just talking with the property owners early on, the secondary home would be for a family member, but not a family member that meets the family lot provision. So, you know, every family dynamic is a little different, and our family lot provision is very specific when it comes to the family members that you are allowed to give a family lot to. And in this case, it just wouldn't fit those parameters. So that is why you see us here with a request of a zoning change from Ag 7.5 to Ag 5. You'll see the immediate area pretty much looks the same. It is Ag B on all sides and Ag 7.5 on all sides. You will see just to the south, you'll see the line there where that change happens to Ag 10 and Ag A. You can see from the FEMA flood map here that there are a few pockets that have some not wetlands, excuse me, that have a portion of the flood zone. You'll see the majority of that is on the side of the road that their house already is on. The other half of the property that is on the south end of Leon Dobson is only touched just in the corner here by a FEMA flood zone. So you'll see this is a survey of the property. You'll see this is where Leon Dobson comes in. To the north of Leon Dobson is where they currently live, and then this all here is vacant. Again, it does meet standards now. It's just a matter of preparing for the future and what that looks like for them. Staff does recommend approval. This is one of those applications that when it was advertised, or that because of the meeting cycle, your staff report did not reflect the recommendation of LPA. Our LPA meeting was not until last Thursday night. Your agenda packets went out on Thursday afternoon. So that's why your agenda packet does not reflect the LPA recommendation, but the PowerPoint does. This was a conversation point during the LPA meeting. It was the direction of some of the LPA members that this would qualify as spot zoning because there is not any Ag 5 in the immediate area. From a staff perspective, when we're looking at this sort of application and we're considering spot zoning, if a land use change isn't part of the conversation, then we are a little more open-minded to the area. In this case, the land use for Ag 5 and Ag 7.5 are the same. So during the LPA meeting, when it came time to vote, we had a motion for approval. It did not get seconded. We then had a motion for denial, and it received a second, and it was a 3-to-1 vote for recommendation of denial. And that was, when asked, that was the reason given, that it was their opinion that this could be looked at as spot zoning and any, you know, what could that bring in the future to this area. So with that, staff recommends approval. It was the recommendation of LPA for denial. So if you have any questions, more than happy to answer. The property owners are here as well if you have any specific questions for them.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. What is the, I'm looking at the Ag 75, and it's a 10-acre tract, is that correct?
It is.
What is the, on each side of the road, what is the acres?
It seems to be about 5 acres on each side of the road.
Seems to be, or is, or not?
So they have not had it surveyed separately. It's not their intention to split the property. So that's why they have not done a survey to see what exactly is on each side of the road. It would not be their intention to split it at this time. So
It's like 6 and 4. It doesn't look like it's half and half.
yeah, and that very well may be.
Can you measure it on there? You already got it pulled up.
Do I?
I said you got one that's long and narrow, one that's short and wide, so.
No, it's
Yeah.
be hard to measure.
Mhm.
So if it would have been the intention to split it at this time, we would have went ahead and asked for that survey, but it's not their intention. If, you know, down the road it were to be sold and that was something else, you know, that would be a process for that point, but.
Well, that's my concern is if there's only 5 acres, 4 acres on one side and there's 6 on the other, and then they have to split that land. You got 1 acre on one side, or even a 3/4
Yes,
piece
sir.
on one
It-
side, one on the other.
It's almost 4.2 acres on the north portion of the road.
So you're looking at.
Plus,
Even if they split it, you would still have to give them some of the property on the south side of the road.
Right.
And then you'd end up where you'd have to give a driveway or an easement so that from the road, that person could access the south parcel.
Mhm.
Because otherwise it would be an illegal lot split because it would be non-conforming
Right.
because of the residents. So
What if-
you couldn't just split it where the road is.
sorry.
You couldn't just split it where the road is.
There's no way to split it where the road is? There's not
Not
another,
with Ag 5 or Ag
Not,
7.5.
there's not enough acres on the other
Right,
side.
there's
You
not,
have to use
the
Right.
property wouldn't be enough to split.
And like I said, that's not the intention of the applicant to split it. It would just be to have a secondary dwelling. But I understand your questions. I
Yeah,
understand that
intentions-
direction.
Intentions are good, but we have to look at this for long-term
Absolutely.
intentions.
Absolutely.
Intentions of the current owner might not be that, but when
Absolutely.
through fruition, we have to think 20 years out, not just at the current.
Well, because you're creating an entitlement.
Hmm?
You're creating an entitlement.
Right. So I mean, we have to look at that.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that the owners now have all good intentions of doing what they said they were going to do. But
so my question is there not another zone that we can change it to? That way the person can use me right now?
So there's not any zoning that's in between Ag 5 and Ag 7.5. So if we were looking at something that would allow them to split it by the road, like you're talking about, that would be taking us down to like an RCMH 2.5. That would be the closest zoning that would do that. It's not the desire of the property owner to have that additional density. So
But it sounds like to appease the board, if they do want to build a second dwelling over there, then they're going to have to make
if they
that
wanted,
decision.
well,
It
if
would
they
just
wanted to
depend on
sub,
where they split it. So the problem with RCMH 2.5 is then you're really dealing with spot zoning issues.
because you're making a
then
land
you're
use
surrounded
change
by
then
all
too.
Ag 7.5, and then you've got, so you can have 1 unit per 7.5 acres, and then all of a sudden you have the ability to have 4 units for that 1 acre.
But I can make the argument that
10 acres.
half a mile down the road, the same road, is zoned Ag 7.5, but there's 2.5 acre lots
Right.
on the same
Right.
road.
Right.
So I mean, they're out of compliance. They're
So it could be a family lot split, which is
There could be a lot of
legally
different.
non-conforming.
on
split.
both sides of Leon Dobson. I mean, if you go to the let's see, east side, I mean, there's a parcel that's 7.1 acres and then 7.23 acres that are both zoned Ag 7.5 in that area.
And one thing about the Ag 5 zoning category, it is still only a couple of years old. So, I mean, there could be argument that almost anywhere that we put Ag 5 could be spot zoning. We've only introduced that into a couple of areas of the county, so.
Did
Well-
LPA make any recommendations with the denial?
They probably shouldn't be.
They shouldn't make any recommendations on that, right?
No.
No, they're supposed to review the applicant that's presented before, application presented for them.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinance 2026-11.
Will be open for public hearing? Any public comment?
Any public comments? Yeah, I forgot. Any public comments on 2026-09? Hearing none, we'll move on to 2026-11.
Do you want?
No, I'm the owner of the property. Yeah, my wife. She's feeling a little under the weather today, so she's not. If there's anything I answer for you guys, I'm here.
I just really want to see a way we can make this piece of land that would better serve you better, but it'll take some research on our end because it doesn't appear that there is. And so we're not trying to go against you, sir. But there's also things that we need to protect and things that are set in place. So we'll do what we can to research it and see what we can do to help you.
No, I appreciate it. The reason we're putting a dwelling there, just open this up for you. The person that's gonna move there is a lifelong friend of my wife's. And she is gonna be more of a health advocate for us. Help my wife, she's 70 years old, she has some pretty bad lungs. And help me too as I get old. The main reason she's
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance 2026-11.
All right, so this one, we don't have a presentation for, because there are not any land use and zoning maps associated with this. So, if you guys recall, I guess it's been a month and a half, 2 months ago, for informational purposes, we came to you with a very rough draft of a food truck ordinance, or a mobile food vendor ordinance. Just to kind of get some direction from you guys of what you guys would like to see while we were putting that together. So since that time, we've worked on making some adjustments to that ordinance. We've advertised it, and so now we are actually ready to present it and really get the ball rolling. So this ordinance had its first reading in front of LPA Thursday night. With this type of ordinance, it's a little unlike our land use and zonings and things like that. Those are advertised in our county paper, but we're also sending out notices and putting signage out. So for an ordinance of this type, we're not, there's nowhere to go to put a sign out. So sometimes these types of ordinance, until we're actually in the meeting process, it's not always fully viewed by the public. So I want to start off by maybe clarifying a few things. Since Thursday's meeting, we've had some input and some outreach from the county, and a lot of it seemed to be just some miscommunication maybe, and just a lack of a lack of education, maybe on our part and the public's part. So we just kind of want to clarify a few things to make sure that the public understands what we're truly asking. So, as you guys know, but maybe the general public does not, Baker County is made up of 3 different jurisdictions. So that is the city of McClenny, the town of Glenn, and then the rest is what we are, is unincorporated Baker County. So the city of McClenny and the town of Glenn both already have mobile food vendor regulations in place. We do not. So that is our path right now, is to formulate those regulations so that we have a clear path on how we're going to handle mobile food vendors. So I wanted to point that out to make sure people understand that there are 3 different jurisdictions, and we are only talking about unincorporated Baker County, not anything within the city limits of McClenny or anything within the town of Glenn. This would not apply to those brick and mortar establishments that are already up and going. So this doesn't apply to the regulations and permitting of a restaurant. We want to make sure that's clear. This also would not encompass, those roadside produce stands and things that fall under seasonal produce through the Department of Agriculture. It also would not apply to anything that would fall under the cottage food law. Those are regulated by the Department of Agriculture, and that is a completely different process and would not apply. These regulations would not apply there. They also would not apply with a county-approved function. So we had some questions about the Christmas parade and those sorts of things. So first off, those would be inside the city, so they would not apply here anyways, but those would also fall under an event that's already approved by an entity. So these regulations would not apply to those instances either. Additionally, we are still very early in this, and no fees have been set. So we also had some feedback that people thought that there was going to be a $1,000 fee involved, and we haven't even really discussed fees yet. We weren't to that point in the process. So I just want to kind of make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about and what would be excluded from this. So you have in front of you you should have in front of you the ordinance. I made the changes that we discussed last time, aside from the time change. We had some discussions about some daylight savings times verbiage, something like that. So that's the only change that has not been made from when we discussed this for informational purposes several weeks back. You should also have Mr. Greg Shepard. He is one of our LPA board members. He sent us an email in the last couple of days with some of his thoughts for you guys to take as a recommendation from him. And you, let's see, I think that was the only one that I printed out for you guys. From LPA's discussion, the time that we were just discussing, that was one of their concerns or recommendations, that maybe a 9 or 10 p.m. cutoff time, just to encompass, during ball season, everybody's leaving the ball field. They might want to pop in and get something to eat at a food truck rather than a restaurant. So that was one of the recommendations from LPA, was to maybe consider a 9 or 10 p.m. time. It was also a concern of the LPA board, the not allowing this within residential zonings. So they actually had a suggestion of maybe a minimum acreage requirement if it was allowed within a residential zoning, to maybe have a minimum acreage requirement or a minimum square footage requirement for the site that would then maybe allow it within residential zonings, but still put a restriction on where that would be allowed to make sure that there was adequate space for it. They also suggested maybe expanding to specifically note the seasonal produce and cottage laws that would be exempt. They suggested us expanding that just for clarity. Let's see. They also recommended maybe, we had discussed like a weekend permit, a monthly permit, and a yearly permit. They had discussed maybe a weekend, maybe a quarterly, and a yearly. And we did discuss some different enforcement avenues from DBPR, but I think those would fall more under a code enforcement standpoint. But of course, we're open-minded to any recommendations if you guys have something as well that's specific to help that. And then they also did recommend possibly during the permitting process, instead of them getting some sort of paper printout that they would have to keep up with, maybe the county populating some sort of sticker that could go with their other stickers on the food truck that would maybe be a little more visible, that when we're there and we're checking for compliance, it would be very easy to check that on the window there instead of them having to provide a paper copy each time. So with that, that's the recommendations I've received so far. We've seen that there's been a lot of public question. I have received 2 emails. I haven't had any phone calls asking questions, but I have received 2 emails now asking some questions, and we tried to provide some clarity and maybe answer some questions. So really here for some direction from you guys. I think we have some public comment tonight. I don't know if maybe you guys want to hear that first, or
Comments from the board?
I recommend we get the public comment first.
Okay.
Good.
We're ready for public comments. Mr. Matt Wilford.
Good evening.
Good evening,
First
sir.
off, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having us here to be able to voice our concerns. First and foremost, as a county, we want to encourage small business and growth. We actually had something brought to your attention about that, maintaining, growing small business and keeping it within the county. We also want to encourage people to come here for business. The outline area, I know this doesn't cover the county and the city, but it covers the outline areas, the unincorporated portion of it. You look, there's not much out there for them to get unless it's stopping by a convenience store and grabbing something. So a food truck operating out there in the outer reaches of the county would give them more of an option to be able to just run 5 miles down the road, grab something for dinner or for lunch, and be able to go home without having to drive into town. We don't want to over-regulate small business here in town. Most counties you see outside of this county, there's very little regulation, except for zoning pertaining to mobile food service. And we're licensed by the state. Let us do what the state requires of us. We already know what we have to do. If we're regulated more, that's going to drive people away, I feel like. And as a group, we do feel like that will drive small entrepreneurs and small businesses away from the county. That being said, we're asking for a couple of things. One of those is time restrictions. Duval County, for instance, has no time restriction. Their restrictions one paragraph, most of it being zoning. We're also asking, as far as the insurance mandate, each license through the DBPR is different. Each person, whether you're a caterer, food truck, cottage, whatever it has to be, you're already regulated to have insurance, and it's set at that. I don't see why we should have to regulate for a small business that's already starting out having to purchase more insurance just to be in our own county. And then also, it's my belief, looking at the Florida statute 509.102, it's a law passed in June of 2020 that prohibits municipalities from charging additional permits to operate. All licenses and fees are preempted to the state, with the exception of a local fire inspection. And that's it. Pretty simple. Thank you for having me, allowing me to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Woodford. All right, the next speaker, public speaker comment is Ms. Sarah Shepherd.
Thank you for allowing us to speak. I want to say my comments are all based on the ordinance that I got. It's not based on any of the wonderful suggestions that she might have, encouraging, because those suggestions are not yet in the ordinance. So probably going to read most of this because I'm not a very well speaker in this stuff, but I'm going to do my best. My name is Sarah Shepherd, and I live in Sanderson, Florida. I'm speaking on behalf of small business owners in the food truck industry. Being the first woman-owned brewery in Northeast Florida, I've always encouraged mobile food services to create an experience with our customers and to expand the palette out here in Baker County. I find this ordinance overly restricted and not business-friendly to our entrepreneurs and business owners. I will be addressing the unincorporated Baker County ordinance. It is our understanding that it was taken from the current city-town ordinance, which is a separate discussion. We as mobile service providers do not see a need for this ordinance for the unincorporated areas of Baker County. We believe this ordinance is overly restricted in the unincorporated areas, as there are regulations from the state that regulate this industry already. Why does the county feel that they need for an ordinance in the rural and unincorporated areas? In the ordinance under section 236, mobile food vendors, C1, according to the Florida statute, a municipality cannot request an occupational license. They can only request a business tax receipt. And I think of fire regulation. And that's under the statute, Florida statute 509.102. Public liability insurance policy, which is under C2. A food truck licensed by the DPR has a set amount of insurance for food trucks, and the county cannot require more than that amount. Additional permit fees cannot be added. However, the county can request the county name to be put on that policy. However, keep in mind, if the county tries to increase food truck additional insurance requirements, it may result in the loss of food trucks for the industry in Baker County. The Freedom First Budgeting for Government Accountability Act and HB 1193 passed in 2020 and codified in Florida statute 509.102 were intended to prevent unnecessary barriers to mobile food vendors. This ordinance moves in the opposite direction. Section 5E, residential zoning property. The section should be either removed entirely or rewritten specifically for unincorporated Baker County. As written, it could prevent families and communities from hiring food trucks for birthday parties, church gatherings, reunions, and local events. Many rural areas of Baker County have limited or no nearby restaurant options. Residents should still have the freedom to enjoy mobile services in their communities. The hours of operation, although we appreciate the extension from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., however, we request the ordinance allow operations until 10 p.m. regularly and until 11 p.m. for approved community events and special occasions. Storage restrictions. The current restriction allowing mobile food vendors to remain on site for a day is unreasonable for rural and unincorporated areas. This limitation should be extended to better accommodate vendors serving multi-day events and ongoing operations. Additional fees and public safety costs. The proposal allowing compensation for various public safety and services goes far beyond recovering administration costs associated with processing applications. These added expenses create unnecessary financial barriers for small businesses and appear designed to discourage mobile food vendors from operating in Baker County. Finally, we believe no additional county permit process is necessary. The state of Florida already regulates the licenses in this industry. Creating duplicate local regulations only increases costs, limitations, opportunity, and discourages small business investments in Baker County. That's under Florida Statute 509.102, which I have provided you a copy. We respectfully request that this ordinance be eliminated entirely. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. We have one more speaker card on this subject, Mr. Brian Walstead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to hear me tonight. My name is Brian Walstead. I live at 24 Martha Drive. I've been a Baker County citizen my whole life. I'm 48 years old. I actually have a food trailer out here in Baker County. It's called This Little Pig and Smoking Bees Barbecue. Our state license is Triple B's Barbecue Incorporated. We follow every guideline that's set forth by the state. What this would open up if it went through is it would prevent a lot of food trailers from coming to this county, which would be a hurt because we do encourage small business. The fees that are associated with the legal businesses of food trailers are already in place by the state, by the insurance, and it's regulated very heavily. To add this to it, I believe it would hurt the county by bringing other food trailers out here. That's what I kind of wanted to talk to y'all about and just let you know my opinion on it, that I think it should not be a subject. If I decided to go to 6 surrounding counties here to sell my food and I had to apply for a permit, no matter what the fee was, $100, $500,000 in each county, that would kind of become way more expensive for a food trailer owner. And I don't see it being a good thing for Baker County. It discourages us to see this happen, but if it were to be set in place and not abolished, there has to be something put in place for enforcement, because the DPBR does regulate the state and business licenses, but they don't come out here hardly. They stay in Jacksonville and a lot of other big cities, and Baker County kind of gets not looked at too hard unless they get a complaint or a call. So if you did something like this and put it, you're going to have to end up appointing someone to do enforcement, all this. So it'll create more money for the county to pay out as well as also mobile food vendors. So thank you for your time. I would ask this be abolished because we are heavily regulated enough. If you have any questions about any licensing, insurance, or anything, you're more than welcome to ask me. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Walstead. Ms. LaDonna, you got any comments before we go to board comments?
So, I will say, one of the comments that I did hear that is not something that I had considered going into this, in the on-site storage when we're talking about multiple day events, like if they asked for a 3-day permit in a certain area. That is not an avenue that I looked at, was for the overnight storage during maybe a 3-day permit. I think that's something that could be very simply added to address that. I will say, while there were some jurisdictions, the city of Jacksonville being one, they do not charge an application fee. However, they do have regulations in place, and they do require an application. There is still an application process. Every surrounding jurisdiction had some form of regulation and some form of application process. Those varied. Some were very simple. Some were more heavily regulated and a heftier application process. But every surrounding jurisdiction did have some sort of regulation in place and some sort of application process.
You mind if I interject real quick? To add on to that point right there on the stored on private property, on page 4 it said if stored on private property within the county, the mobile food vendor must meet all applicable county codes and ordinances regulating commercial vehicle parking.
Right.
So
there are regulations with that as to where on the property it can be stored. It can't be stored in the front yard of the property, and there are some restrictions there. So if following those restrictions, then that would not be an issue. But like I said, it can't just be parked on in the front yard. It has to still be registered, have a tag, all of that sort of thing. So.
The food truck in Sanderson's been there for 5 or 6 months. I think it's been open one time.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that would be a violation, and who would enforce that?
Well, and that's part of our issue here is with not having any regulation laid out. How do we approach that?
Who would enforce it?
A code enforcement complaint could be made.
That's it. That's how we enforce it.
But that's what that enforcement process would look like right now.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
this whole thing gives me heartburn.
Me too.
I can tell you, I'm a food vendor eater out of trucks. I love it.
Yes, sir.
I do it all the time. When I'm a business owner. I travel all over this county and other counties, and most of the time, if I see a mobile food truck, it's quick, it's easy, it's convenient,
Yes, sir.
and it's good.
Yes, sir.
Because usually the people cooking in there are people who's cooking in their kitchen at home.
Yes, sir.
So,
And they're regulated.
and I'm just having a lot of issues and a lot of heartburn with a lot of stuff that's being thrown out in the past regulation, this regulation. I am a business owner here in Baker County,
Yes, sir.
and I have to have a license forever. I can't even go outside and check the mail without having some type of a license from the state as a building and roofing contractor. So I know what over-regulation is all about. I can't even build a deck now without an engineer. I've been building for 50 years, and now the state says I can't even build a deck without. So we can talk about regulations, and I'm one who don't like a lot of regulations. I think people should be, as long as they're legal, and they're licensed through the state, they meet in all food safety, which is is beyond what we can do.
No, yeah, we cannot.
We're not do that.
Department
Right,
office.
right.
Only thing we can look at is if where they're parked, and or they staying at midnight causing a ruckus.
Right,
And you could call the cops for that.
right.
That's
If they're
right.
out there doing something they shouldn't be doing, you can call the cops, and the cops can come remove them.
You can look at some other stuff. So, and don't take this wrong. I'm not suggesting that you should. I'm just telling you what your options are. So other places, they don't actually have a license or a permitting process. What they're doing is they're having the food truck owners submit like site planning.
Right.
So it's really essentially a zoning review. And the site planning is based on kind of your protection of health, safety, and well-being. So the concept is, if you have a food truck parked on a commercial property, some places don't allow food trucks in residential because, you know what, maybe they don't want a margarita truck parked in their neighbor's yard going whatever hours it is. So they restrict it generally to commercial where you would already have commercial type properties. But even on a commercial property, so there are places where you had a business at one point, the building's no longer there, you still have a parking lot. That's where you see a lot of the food trucks popping up. So when you see them popping up, you want to, from our standpoint, we want to make sure the food truck's not too close to the road where if you have a little kid that's going to run up and go buy something, they don't accidentally run into a road or run across where the drive is coming off the main road and hit a child. You want to make sure that the picnic area that's set up also isn't somewhere where a car is going to be driving. There are one of my clients is dealing with 4 food trucks got set up and there was no bathroom, so then that created a problem for the neighbors. Because then they were going to the neighbors' businesses to try to use their bathroom. So it's a site planning, just like you would do for a brick and mortar restaurant. That's what you're looking at doing. You're not looking at Department of Health licenses, you're not looking at DVPR licenses. The word, and this is my fault, I wrote down on the last draft of the ordinance that you all were looking at. There's no such thing as an occupational license anymore. That has been replaced, so we would take that word out as we go forward. It's just a business tax receipt.
And I think in the ordinance, the updated version, I changed it to or, and instead of just taking out, I should have just taken out the occupational license.
Because they
and
don't
it
exist
listed
anymore.
business tax receipt.
It doesn't
That
exist.
was an
I
oversight
have to have an
on.
occupation. You used to have to have an occupation. It's not an occupational license.
Yeah,
And now they
it's
call
just
it
a business tax receipt.
receipts
Right.
Yeah.
Because from your profession, you can appreciate there were people that didn't have the state license they needed. They would go get a local occupational license, then they would advertise that they're licensed and insured. So the state finally said, no, that's not a license. You're paying for the privilege to do business within that jurisdiction. That's all it is. And that's a tax.
If we had the population density of a rural Clay County or St. Johns County, I could see us regulating. But for the population density of Baker County and being in Sanderson all my life and being around Old Lusty and Taylor and Baxter and Kyler and Manning, if the food truck sets up, I wish them luck. If they selling a hot dog at midnight, I'm happy for them.
Well, and most of the things that I was talking about as far as regulation and residential is going to be within the city anyway. That's not going to be.
Yeah,
our
that's,
Right.
Well, the problem I have with the commercial only is we have a lot of 20-acre and 10-acre tracts out here that is residential zones, agriculture, and we're saying they can't set a food truck up there. Even there's 10 acres there.
So within agricultural, it still could. It just specified within residential zoning. So.
Yeah, and most of the small residential lots here are in the city limits or in the
Right.
city limits of Glenn. That's not
Right.
in the
Yeah,
county.
One of my other municipalities, they just wanted you to at least have an acre of property. They didn't want you setting up on these like 1/4 acre pieces of property because then there was nowhere for cars to park.
And that was one of the recommendations from LPA was maybe to, instead of restricting it in certain zoning categories, maybe have a size restriction, an acreage restriction or a square footage restriction.
And keep in mind, you could also do nothing. Just leave it the way it is.
I really don't like that word restriction,
Yes, sir.
okay? I think there's enough government
Yes, sir.
restriction.
Yes, sir. I understand.
It will be hard for me to agree to any of this.
Right now, as written, I wouldn't agree to it.
nor would I.
So what does that look like for a pathway forward for us? Because right now, the only option that a food vendor would have in unincorporated Baker, based on our current regulations, would be to do the temporary use, would be a temporary use permit that we only allow for 3 days. And that's 3 days in an entire calendar year. So that doesn't really allow for.
Why do we need to charge them a permit fee anyway? Why do we need
Well,
any kind
even fee aside, there's a process for them
So
to.
the temporary use permit, and again, other jurisdictions do this, It's really just, it's a safety review, you're trying to
It,
make sure.
it means that it,
So what are we going to review? The site locations, what you're saying?
Yes.
Trying to see where it is
Yes.
on the property, again.
What
make
have
sure
we
that
done for the last
it's
5
not
years?
on top of where
we,
parking is.
that's the thing, we haven't had a pathway the last 5 years. We need a pathway to, you know,
Okay, why?
What's the what problems have we had?
Would you like me to address that?
if you don't mind. yeah.
Because I was a hot pocket, a topic of getting elected out of office all week because of this, because they said whoever started this. Well, let me clarify why this got brought up a month ago was because a citizen in Olusty wanted to buy a piece of land and put a food truck on it. And he asked me, was that okay? And so in my digging and my research, that's when I went to LaDonna and we discovered there was nothing there. So my thought was, when I asked LaDonna to put something together, was not to restrict or regulate the food trucks. That is absolutely the opposite of what I wanted to do here. And I wanted to protect the food truck people. I wanted this guy to be able to go buy his piece of land and put his food truck on his piece of land and not have to worry about us kicking him off next week. And so that's where this research come from. So to answer your question, that's where it come from. Is me calling myself helping somebody out, and now all of these rules and regulations have come about. And
Well, the good news is we couldn't kick them off because we don't have a rule saying that you can't do it. I mean, right now we don't.
but see, and that's what nobody knew that when I went to LaDonna. She didn't know, and she didn't.
That's
nothing.
we discussed that it would be treated, if we were to receive a report, it would be treated as a code enforcement, that
Which
were it
doesn't
is
violate our
or
code.
well, in this specific instance on the parcel, there were some additional things that would not allow them to just park the truck there. It would be a code enforcement
Yeah, it would
violation
be.
in
And
that
generally
in that
speaking,
instance.
unless you have a home-based business, which that's a whole nother
Right.
law. So unless you have a home-based business, you're not allowed to operate a commercial enterprise on residential property. Now, the way other places have got around that is, they say you can have a food truck at, like, if you're having a party or wedding. You just can't, like, be charging people walking up, that's commercial. But if you just pay the food truck to be there as the property owner, and whoever's at your party gets to go to the food truck for free, that's okay.
See, and this fella has a commercial piece of land,
Then
and so
that wouldn't have that problem.
that was my purpose behind this. And then I kind of expect I come here tonight all geared up. Beyond jokingly, I say that thinking I have to fight Commissioner Anderson on the times because I think that's crazy. And these, because this is absolutely an overreach of this board, in my personal opinion. That does not represent your opinion. But now that I see that everybody agrees with me, there are so many things that I don't even feel like need to be addressed now. I feel like we just need to address whether we even, because the only thing that we can do, you asked what we're going to do from here, is decide what, if there is anything that we want to keep, what do we want to keep, so we can come back next meeting and go over that.
Right.
And
You have to have a starting point. You have to have a starting point. And
Well, this definitely is not a starting point.
okay.
But you did a great job, LaDonna. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
doing all that
That's-
legwork.
But this is not a starting
Thank you.
point to me.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
I'm not
I
sure
didn't
it's your
even
right
have a
time
food
for
truck
a starting
problem.
point.
I enjoyed the food trucks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think and most of them are I can't never say
Strategic.
the word, strategically placed.
Right. Right.
Because they're gonna do that because of their business. They got to have a place for people to come in and park and take care.
Yes, sir.
And I read through this, and I read through the last meeting when it was sprung on us about food trucks, and I'm thinking to myself, why are we even doing this?
Yes, sir.
And now I found out why, which is, I can
It was
respect the
really
reason you done it.
to get it
Thank you.
to try to get ahead of something
And I'm
that may
with
be
you,
coming.
I'm with the whole thing, but
Yes, sir.
to me, if you don't have a problem, why fix it?
Yeah, amen. I'm not
I
sure
don't
that we,
I don't go tear somebody's roof off when it's a brand new roof and it's working fine to put another roof on just to
Yes, sir.
prevent a problem.
But there are some roofers that do.
Well, that's true. That was just a bad
sounds-
that's a bad
like-
example, I guess.
It sounds like there's consensus from the board to not move forward with this.
Okay.
This is just,
Understood. That's
I just don't think
that's-
it's the right time to find that starting point.
Absolutely.
As the
I understand.
population density grows, as the food truck industry grows in the county, we can address it. I don't think it's the right time.
Right, and I'm not sure which public comment said it, but they were right. There are very few locations in unincorporated Baker County that is even, looking for this.
Even when you get down to defining those lot sizes between US 90 and the railroad track, would you consider the right-of-ways, there's a small strip of land in there that can actually be owned.
Right.
And the food truck there in Sanderson's sitting on the right-of-way and has been for months. Nobody complains, nobody cares. I think we're just off target a bit.
Understood.
Mr. Commando?
Sure.
I think the board is, just from my observation, is all in agreement on this. That is kind of, hey, let's take a step back for sure. What would be your advice on the bare minimum? If there were a bare minimum, no time restriction, if there was a zoning restriction as far as they can pretty much do it anywhere over an acre, any of that? Like, how do we go forward from this point?
Well, again, you don't have to go forward, but a bare minimum from a code standpoint would be minimum lot size.
And that would be it.
Would it be your suggestion maybe to address that in our upcoming comprehensive plan amendment and LDRs coming after that? To address it in that point, to maybe to
Probably not
add,
the comp plan, but you can do
but
it in your LDR.
through our LDRs to address it then when we're going through that. Okay.
I mean, we could also not do anything, correct?
That's what your attorney's saying, yeah.
Yeah. If the attorney's saying that, then.
That's what we're saying. Maybe if
Does that-
something
does that
wants
need
to
to
be
come back
added
for a
when
second
we're
reading?
in that actual.
If it comes back to me, I'm
Part.
gonna turn it down.
Okay.
So,
Understood.
I would tell you that because it's a material change, it would come back for first reading again. If, again, that's the direction the board wants to go.
Why does it got to come back at all?
Yeah. I don't
It
see
doesn't.
It doesn't, it could be.
Can we
done.
make
you saying if we
can we make
did-
the decision now for it not to come back at all?
Sounds like you already have.
It seems like
Okay.
we've got a consensus
Yes,
of
There
the
you go.
board that.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion?
Nope.
No, it's just
Hey, can I say
first
one more
here,
thing?
first and last here.
Yes.
Commissioner Iverson?
Hey, we have to enjoy this victory, if you would call it that. This is what I have to say, is we have approximately a dozen people here representing food trucks tonight. This is what happens, Baker County, when you get out from behind your Facebook keyboard and you come to the meetings and these people met last night at 6 p.m. down at the Ninth Hour Coffee, and they talked about their game plan, and they talked about why this is good, why it's bad. They talked about their different options. And so I just want to tell everybody that's sitting here, thank you. This is what we want. This is what we need. We don't need you sitting behind your Facebook keyboard. We need you to participate. And I realize everybody is not able to come down here every month, but I just wanted to point that out. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for doing your due diligence, and thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, even from a staff perspective, we don't know the public input if it's not given to us, so that's why public meetings are great, so that we can get the thoughts and opinions from both sides.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you, sometimes you can do your investigating and get all your stuff resolved before you ever come and make it an issue.
That's true. Yep.
So it doesn't have to
Absolutely.
always be an issue. It can be resolved before it ever becomes an issue.
That's true.
I think we
All right.
Beat that dead
Understood.
horse.
Yes, sir. All right. That's all I have for you.
All right, thanks. We'll end our public hearing and go back into regular session.
Mr. Chairman, do you know if we take just a brief recess to have a restroom break?
Let's take a 5-minute recess, and
Thank you.
we'll be back starting at
I
7
do
o'clock.
want to add all these food truck vendors
This meeting back in order. We're moving on to new business resolution 2026-19. Mr. Chris Lee,
Thank you, Commissioners. Good evening. Okay,
just to
tonight I'm-
recognize that our audience is all gone.
Yes,
so.
our audience has dwindled quite a bit, but a lot of people left happy. Okay, the first thing I've got up here is just a time extension for one of our job sites from Blair to Park, the paving job that's going on right now. We just asked for a time extension. I think this was 18 months. I usually do 6 months, and then something happens, and all of a sudden I got to ask for another one. So from now on, it's 18 months. And I've got all the paperwork through DOT and everything, so we're just asking for an extension. That's all the resolution is, it's just an extension.
Mr. Chairman, what's the time now we're looking at realistically?
Realistically, they're talking, they're fixing to bring the paving crew in. The actual job itself, we might have 3 or 4 weeks. And then DOT gave us extra money to do the Kirkland Branch project down there, so that's still in.
So they're gonna redo that bridge?
They're gonna be, they're probably gonna be the contractor that does that. They are, we're still waiting for Army Corps of Engineers to get through with all their things that they do. So that's the other reason for the long extension, is because they could take some extra time. But the road itself, they're supposed to be coming in the next couple of weeks to pave, and then after that everything else will be off the road.
Well, that was my concern with 18 months.
No,
I know we're not 18.
That's strictly for us in case something happens.
We're talking more line on the bridge.
It's more on the bridge on that one.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you, sir.
And that's specific to this one, right?
That's specific just to that project, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, are they gonna be milling that project?
This project, no.
No, not this one. This is just the lighting.
Tack and pave.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-19.
Second.
Is read by title?
Read by title, please.
It is approved, and motion and a second to approve 2026-19, read by title.
Resolution 2026-19, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a supplemental funding agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 439676-1-54-01.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve 2026-19. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2026-20. Mr. Chris Lee.
This is the same thing again. It's just a time extension for the same reason. Just this one runs out in June, so we asked 18 months again on this one. So it's strictly just a time extension.
And that's just from Bertie Dorman north?
Yes.
Yes, please.
What would be the delay on this one?
This one, this is the milling, this is the job that's gonna get milled and everything. But the delay on this one is they haven't, it took so long to get to this point. I think this is one we bid. We designed, bid, had to redesign and rebid, and now the contractor is.
It did go back and forth a couple times.
Yeah, it went back
that's
and
right.
forth, and now we've got, everything's done, and the contract's been signed.
They've
and
got
this
their
is-
scope of work now.
Yes.
That it was determining the scope of work, correct? Kind of went back and forth on
Yes.
that. Okay.
Of that 18 months, how long would it take?
This job, I believe this was a 240-day job. And we shouldn't have to get another extension. They should be able to do it in 18 months, because that's well under the 240 days.
Yeah.
But like I said, we went longer because every time I do a 6-month or a 1 year, it goes to
Something
13
happens.
months, and
Yeah.
then I gotta ask again, and I hate going to, I don't mind going to DOT and asking for money. I don't like asking for extra time.
Well,
I
the
can
problem is,
spend the
I
money
just
and
don't
the time
want this
you
to
gave
be
me.
an issue where they say, okay, now we can stretch it out, because we know that we got 18 months to finish
No,
the project.
they want to
They-
get the job done.
That's the only
They're
way
ready
they
to
can
move
make
on.
money is get in and get out.
Yeah, they want to get it and go.
I move to approve a
And they've already
resolution.
got their bonds issued too, so I mean, our start date's within 60
Right.
days after that.
Anybody else? I was fixing to.
Go ahead.
Move approval of resolution 2026-20, read by title.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 2026. Read by title.
Resolution 2026-20, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a supplemental funding agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 445819-1-54-01.
We have a motion and a second for 2026-20. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, the next one that I have is, we've been looking back and forth at all of the collection sites, different things that we can and can't do and stuff that we'd like to change.
Thank you.
And one of the things we would like to change is the hours and days that the sites are open. The only drastic change is like the Kyler, we would like to close Kyler on Mondays and open it on Tuesdays to bring it back in line with all the other sites. So all the sites would be closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That does two things for us. It makes it safer for us to be cleaning up the Kyler site, which is the biggest thing. That's our number one goal is safety, because when we're going in there on a completely full site, we've got backhoes, we've got trucks, several trucks, not just one truck coming in and out. We've got several trucks coming in and out. We got a backhoe in there that's slinging garbage from one can to another can, because we're trying to eliminate how many times we go to the dump. So we try to pack our big cans, and so there's a safety factor there, because if the dump's closed, now the backhoe's not in there when they're open, moving everything around. The trucks are still there when they're open, because the dumps are ran on a regular basis all week. But there's no real equipment unless something breaks down, and it's a little bit more controlled. The other thing is we would like to change the hours up. For the Wednesday, we have a split schedule right now on Wednesdays, and I don't have the other page, but the current hours right now on Wednesday are 6 to 10 and 4 to 8. And we'd like to change that, as of right now, 10 to 6. So it'll be a straight through shift. We've talked to the different people out there, and I was always told that Wednesday was open late for churches. And apparently that's not the case. After about 7 o'clock, there's very few individuals that come in and dump. So we're trying to get everything back to approved. Right now, they're on a 39-hour schedule. Whether either with the current hours or the new hours, they're on a 39-hour schedule. And then in October, if everything's approved in October, we'd like to change that Wednesdays to a 9 to 6 also, instead of a 10 to 6. And that way, Monday and Thursday, everything's closed, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, everything would be 9 to 6, and Sunday would be 2 to 6. We don't want to try to do that now, because we don't want to go for a budget amendment to add that extra hour back in for all the sites. But that's what we're asking to be able to do with the sites right now. There's other things that we're doing, but that'll be brought up at a later time.
Questions or comments from the board?
Oh, one more thing before y'all. This is not gonna, if y'all approve this, we're not gonna enact this until August the 3rd. That way, that'll give us time to put signs up right at the beginning. As soon as you pull in the gate, you will see a brand new sign that says new hours starting here, because all the hours are gonna change on all the sites. But this will give us, 6 weeks? I'm trying to think that about 6 weeks where everybody will be able to see this sign. So when August the 3rd comes along and the dump's closed, all of a sudden there won't be, why is it dumped? Nobody ever told us. Well, the sign's been there for 6 weeks. And we'll have those up by the end of the week. Well, beginning of next week. I'm not sure we got the material in for it, but beginning of next week. So.
I just wanted to add, if I could, Mr. Chairman, what Chris just elaborated on. So for the public's understanding, for those that may be listening to us, the first step in this would just be to move Kyler to the existing schedule. That would take place on August the 3rd, and they would operate on the same hours as everyone else is open. So as of August the 3rd, no collection sites would change except for Kyler. And then what he's asking for is the new, the proposed hours for everything would take effect October 1. And so that would give us plenty of notification to the community what those new hours would be countywide. So there's like 2 phases to what Chris is asking you guys to consider tonight. And so you'll see that on the bottom of your page that Kayla handed out. There's the current hours and then the proposed hours.
Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chris, on these,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
The only thing I see a concern with is maybe not having a site open, a day open late. If you're saying people still dump until 7 p.m. and then it slows down from 7 to 8, you're not, I mean, everything closes at 6. If people work in Jacksonville or work, it would be quite difficult to get there by 6 if that's your time you go. I don't know. I mean, it may not make a difference since you have the other days, but it's the only thing I see.
Well, that's a hit or miss. I mean, it could be one person that gets off and that's the only time they can go, or there could be 2 or 3. I mean, right now they're saying, we're going by what they're saying because we're not out there after hours, after 5:30 on during the week. So they're saying that it's slowed down. At one time it was busy, but now there's a lot of churches that aren't even doing services on Wednesdays, and so there's not the people coming in anymore. I'm not saying that there's not going to be somebody who's going to say that's the only time I can dump. I'm not saying that. 'Cause
No.
I'm sure there's somebody out
Sure
there
there is.
that's exactly what you just said.
No, if you do that, you should do 11 to 7 and have one later date. I mean, you're starting at 10 right now, and right now it's from 6 to 10. So, I mean, if you did 11 to 7 on that, keep the same amount of hours, and just had one day where you're open till 7.
we could do that.
That would get,
That
then
would
that
eliminate-
wouldn't
that would
look
only-
much of a, from 2 hours, if you're only closing an hour earlier and you hadn't had much business from 7 to 8 anyway, you're probably not gonna affect that many people.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be somebody that.
Yeah, there's
sells out.
there's going to be somebody.
But,
No matter
You
what.
know, you could probably make it by 7, I don't know.
So if we moved up, then move that from 11 to 7.
And my recommendation, just solely a recommendation, would be 2 days closing at 7 o'clock. Because I'm looking out for the people who work every day.
Yeah.
And they're probably getting back here at 5, 6, and then they got to run to the dump. And we're closing at 6. I think we're cutting out a lot of people from being able
Well,
to dump.
right now-
I'm taking it's just a suggestion. It's not a.
Right now, the only day that it's open till 8 o'clock is Wednesday. All the other days, the latest is open at 6 right now. So again, it's
the
not going
reason
to.
they're not there is because it's not open
Right.
in the other days. Mostly, if I'm in my church clothes, I'm not going to have garbage in the back of my truck and throw it in the dumpster on the way to church. I would rather have another day that I'm not going to church to have an option to go out there at 6 o'clock when I get home from work and throw my garbage away. Just my personal opinion.
Okay.
And I've had some people ask me about having a couple days instead of one day of closing at 6 o'clock.
Well, what would be another day? I mean, which day would? What would you think would be?
Tuesday.
If we already do Wednesday.
Is this on the agenda?
No, this was not ready today.
I'd say Friday.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Like Friday or Saturday
I
and
was
open
thinking-
a little later and stay open a little
Saturday,
later.
most people's off all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
some
think
of them will
Friday
show
would
up
be
early.
Probably your best day,
Yeah.
or whatever the board thinks.
Go ahead.
Friday or Tuesday.
The only concern I have was this advertised, or was this in the agenda packet for everybody to see? Or is this the first time the public's had a chance to see
That's
this?
the first time the public's had
It was
to see
not
it.
part of the agenda packet.
It was not part of the agenda packet. If I could make a recommendation, I would recommend that we postpone this and table this till the next meeting and have the public, I mean, look how many people turned out tonight on a food truck ordinance. We're about to change the time hours of the dump that everybody's using right now, and they haven't even had a chance to review this or look at it.
Okay.
So if it were up to me,
No, that's
I
fine.
would say let's table it until next meeting. But with those changes right now, the current proposed changes, and then if they want to come in and agree or disagree or give their input, then we're giving them a chance to make the input
Yeah.
on this.
And
Because I
then
mean,
I-
this right here, this is going to affect, every citizen basically.
Right. And I still need to get with, I still kind of need to get with Mark on this too.
Sure.
About everything. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
I thought this was just to run it by.
Yeah, that's
supervisor.
what I thought. This was just
didn't think it
discussion.
was,
We're not making, I ain't making a decision.
No, not today.
I mean, it's
More of a
So we can
direction
just
to
wait
staff
until
and
the
an
next meeting.
actual,
Yeah.
yeah, we need
I'd rather-
to.
We just want to table it.
Well, I think we need to have
Even
our
for a
discussion
couple.
tonight, which is what I thought we was
Absolutely.
doing, and
Yeah.
then I agree with Commissioner Momby. that-
For sure.
It
I mean,
might
and that's
take
what I
two
think.
meetings for people to get in
And I
touch
think that's
with
what
us
Chris
if
was wanting to
that's
do.
what
This
the-
is
Yeah,
not-
'cause it's.
Well, this
it's-
ain't an ordinance. This is just our hours. So I
Right,
don't, I don't need the 2 meetings. But we can make the decision tonight. But I would rather give the,
No, I don't-
No,
the community an
I'm-
impact. Or
I'd rather hear some from the public too.
Correct. So I mean, right now what we have is 11 to 7 was the only other change, and then I think what would you say Friday going to 7?
10 to 7.
Correct, 10 to 7.
I think that you ought to have one day, whichever day that, I'm not at the site, so I wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure the site attendants knows who's coming up there at 6 o'clock in the afternoon on what day, where
Right.
he's getting the most people trying to beat that 6 o'clock deadline. If we could stretch that out 1 hour, I think it would make a difference.
Sure.
So I'll get with them and see what.
Let them decide which day
Let them
that-
decide what the best days are for that.
I think that's, to me, it would be the people who's doing it would know more about than me sitting up here saying, because I'm not there at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I was just saying because of Wednesday, the 7th, because it's open till late.
It's already
now.
open. It's already
But
open
now I
later.
don't know about the, yeah, I
Sure.
think we need to get the.
We might have
information.
wanted to go to Tuesday and Friday, but the attendants would know that.
Right.
Well, let's do our homework if we could.
Yeah.
And table it to the next meeting.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
And go from there.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I do like
100%.
set times,
Yeah.
because I know it's aggravating when you're trying to figure, okay, what day, time.
And that's
can I
what we're
go
trying to do is get it so it's more uniform.
Yeah.
And then the split shifts are always tough because somebody will
Yeah.
show up at 10:30. It's like they already closed. Now I got all this in my truck. What am I going to do now for 4
I
hours?
don't like the split shift.
And it's like, so
Yeah.
All right.
okay, that'll work.
Thank you.
Do we
All
need a
right.
motion to
Hey,
table it until the next
They got
meeting?
direction.
No, sir, I don't believe so. I think we have our direction. We'll bring it back to you. all.
just to throw this idea out here, what would be the downside? There may be a downside of making every day consistent 10 to 7. That would give your guys 3 hours every morning at each site, unpopulated, nobody there, and we can achieve the consistency that I feel like we're all wanting, 10 to 7. And now, I don't have to, if I miss this Wednesday night's 7 o'clock deadline because I work late, I don't have to wait till next Wednesday. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, are the sites there to serve the people, or are they there? In other words, I think that the collection sites should work around the people's time, and so I still think we should be consistent though.
Yeah.
I mean, think if everybody could take the dump schedule off of the back of their cabinet, you know what I'm saying? They could use that for something else.
I keep mine on my phone.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't
Just think about it.
I don't think 10 to 7
Everybody in
on
here has the dump schedule hanging in their kitchen somewhere.
I do too.
10 to 7 on Saturday. is
I have
not
one in
gonna work.
Georgia. I got the Georgia
Right.
app, or the
Yeah, true.
picture and the
Yeah,
hair
10 to
picture.
7
so I
on
know when
Saturdays
it's
not
out.
gonna work.
Well, right now you're not open until 9.
Let's keep it the way it is right now with those changes. I say we keep it the way it is right now with those changes, and then come back and we can talk about it next meeting after the public has some comments.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
And we'll get some direction from them on what they're seeing, and then I'll bring that back with you.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Chris.
Approval of grant application, CPTA, Ms. LaDonna Combs.
All right, it is me again. So what you guys had in your packets tonight is just permission to apply for a grant. It's actually kind of a partnership with the regional council. It's actually, they would be applying for the grant on our behalf. So what you see in front of you is the scope of work for what the grant would entail, along with a letter of support from the county to the regional council in order to apply for this grant. So if you remember, the end of last year, we had worked hard to finally become NFIP compliant once again. So now that we are, we can move forward to improve our CRS status. So becoming compliant puts us at a 10, which 10 is where you start. That means you are compliant, but we haven't exactly met the parameters of moving down that rating system. So with the regional council, we feel that we can move forward doing that. We're doing a little bit of work already towards that. Pretty confident that a very small partnership with them can get us at least to an 8, which getting to an 8 would really equate to potentially a 10% savings for those that have to have flood insurance. So in numbers, that's what you're looking at. Getting us to an 8 would be about a 10% savings for our residents. So we think we could get there pretty easy with just a little bit of assistance from the regional council. And ideally, if the grant was awarded, that would help get us there. If it's not awarded, or if you guys did not support the partnership, we'll still get us there. It just may take us a little bit longer.
What's the monetary value of this grant?
If I'm not mistaken, Dennis, do you remember off the top of your head, was it up to 75?
Yeah.
It was an up to number.
I think it was 75.
I want to say it was 75. For some reason, that's what I feel like it was, but
Well, the next question is, is there any type of match the county has to make in this grant?
at this point, based on the way we submitted it, no.
But could
There could be, but the way we submitted it was without that. But that would come back if it was granted, that would come back to you guys to approve. If there was any match, we would know then.
Well, I think it's a great idea.
Yes, sir.
I don't like the idea that it didn't have a financial number that was presented to the board on what. I don't like applying for a grant. I don't even know how much of an amount of the grant's going to cost.
Yes, sir. So ideally, at this point, it wouldn't cost us anything.
Well,
but I understand what you're asking too.
We
I
make
do.
decisions on
I do. I
our
understand
job
what you're
as
saying.
commissioners or money.
Absolutely,
budgets.
absolutely.
Right.
And this would come back before the board before it was accepted?
Yes, this is just permission to apply, or support of the regional council applying on our behalf.
We would definitely need those details before it came back.
Yes, sir.
You'd
And
have but right now, I mean, all it is just giving them permission to
giving
apply.
us permission to apply.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Question. I'm the president of the regional council. So would I have to abstain here or there or neither? Because this is a grant.
Do you vote on grant awards, or is that?
Not on the award, but on the going after it and accepting the grant. I would be voting on accepting the grant at the regional council. Matter of fact, me and Mr. Iverson would.
Yeah, the sunshine law gives exceptions to when you're serving as a liaison from your job as the commissioner to those boards. So normally you wouldn't have a problem with that. I would say if there was anywhere you did, it would be on the award side from the regional council.
The only reason I'm asking you is because we don't have an attorney sitting in our meetings, and I don't want.
I would say I would disclose that if you're ever voting on an award that will come back to Baker County, Obviously, I'm a Baker County Commissioner. And because of that, I don't want there to look like there's any impropriety, so I'll abstain from that vote.
Commissioner Mobley?
I'm gonna make a motion and we'll go ahead and approve submitting for the grant
Second.
with the regional council.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve
He has
the
discussion on that.
No,
grant
you're good,
application.
you're good. I was ready to make a motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the grant application for CPTA. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Awards pest control service bid, Miss Sarah Little. You done got us in trouble with this last time.
I already have questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it is time for us to update our pest control and rodent services contract. This is one that we have been with a company out of Jacksonville for the last few years, but unfortunately we have reached our term on that contract, and so it was advertised for prices. Before we are, I know one of the questions that we're going to get asked is that we did not have a local service provider respond to our advertisement, but we do always advertise in the local newspaper and on our websites. That information is publicly available to any local business, but we did not receive any bids from a local service provider. We did receive 3 responses from our advertisement. McCall Service, Naders, and the Pest Company, all out of Jacksonville. Upon review, we have no issues or concerns, and staff does recommend award to McCall Service for this annual contract. There's a whole list of county buildings that you will see that are attached to this proposal, and we are satisfied with the rates on those proposals. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you commissioners may have.
Ms. Sayers, is any of these the pest control company we have now currently?
No, sir, they're not.
They didn't rebid?
They did not. No, we reached out to them directly to make sure that they were aware of the advertisement. I will say that this is an increase over what we're currently paying because they have not raised their rates in several years. So they did not respond as to why or why not. They didn't submit a bid, but they were notified of
No
it.
problem. I was just wondering.
Mhm.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval McCall,
Second.
$1,300 per month.
Questions?
We have a motion and a second to approve the pest control contract to McCall's. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Commissioner Iverson, did that answer your question that you had?
Yeah. I wanted everybody to know who was from in town and who wasn't and
Yes,
what the
sir.
prices were.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's
Thank
and that the existing contractor didn't even bid on it.
you. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure your concerns were answered.
Moving on to prior business. Ms. Dennis Smith has been very patient.
Been hanging around with
Feels
us
like
for
it's
a
been
while.
forever since I've been before the board, so, thank you again, Chairman and Commissioners, for the opportunity. I scheduled this because we have to schedule quite a distance in advance to get on the agenda, anticipating a lot more movement and activity coming from FEMA. So when we first got notified that they were opening back up, we had not only FEMA coming back and starting to pick up on our projects, but we also had the FEMA Review Council, who also has come back with their final recommendations. And so I will touch a little bit on the back half, especially since we're talking about the NFIP, and I'm not sure how much you're following what the proposals may be, but that may change in a way that may shatter the earth, especially for some of the smaller counties who are wetter counties. So that being said, I can report that we did not have a significant amount of improvement from our PDMG meeting last Monday or this Monday because FEMA doesn't have all their moving parts in there. So they literally sent everybody home as a very small skeleton group that they kept on board. And my understanding is they're having a bit of a challenge to get the moving pieces back in place to pick up in the conversations. What I can say is that we are in the same position as far as FEMA is concerned with all of our projects that I reported on the last time I was before the board. I'm going to cover those just very briefly. But I will also say that in the background, we have been working diligently, and so we are prepared from the county position. We have a response now prepared for the determination memo that we're anticipating to get for Turner Cemetery Bridge, and we have already, in fact, we had a second defense prepared for the Shoals Park, and we actually already went ahead and shared that. And so we didn't wait for determination memo because there seemed to be that there may be an appetite for some shift there. So as far as the projects where we are now, we've no more projects have been obligated. I will say this, that I reached out again today, that we've had several of our projects, in fact, all but one, have been obligated for a significant period of time. One of them as long as 234 days, that basically it's been hung up at the state level in financial review. Initially, I was led to believe by FDEM that the problem was that the feds cut the money off, and so they kind of held up, the state stopped sending money out. I heard last week that some crazy number like maybe $11 billion got released all at one time, and so we were expecting a pretty rapid release of the project monies that's already been obligated. I reached out again today looking for a straight answer, and I haven't gotten a lot of response, other than it's not just Baker County, it's not just Florida, it's all over the country. So that being said, I will tell you that my answer to you all for all of those projects is the check's in the mail. So as far as where we are with our current projects ongoing, so we have the Turner Cemetery Bridge project. We are anticipating get a determination memo where they're going to say something's not eligible or not allowable. We have that response prepared, and Thomas Howland Ferguson, still as they have been for quite some time, feels very strongly that we are in a good position to have that position of FEMA overturned or changed at a minimum. The Steel Bridge Road, that project has literally been sitting still in the CIT. I don't have in fact, we actually requested why. Why has it still been sitting in that coffer or in that stage for such a long period of time? Because we've answered all of their questions and there's just been no response back. And so we requested again on Monday to push with the leadership to figure out what's going on and when will we see some movement one way or another with that project. The next one is the boat ramp, and so we're moving forward on the boat ramp. Still, again, checks in the mail. We're moving forward. We are in the permitting stage, and we've actually in the last couple of weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, we've had some positive movement there. So there was some, based off of some permeable surfaces, and there was a concern that we were going to have a storm water runoff plan and incorporate that into it. It now looks like there's a possibility. So what had happened was they changed some of the rules for that stormwater runoff, and because of the time frame of getting the permit, we were going to be under the new rules that were post 2024. Now it looks like there's an opportunity for us to get in on a general permit that uses pre-2024 rules as it relates to that stormwater runoff, which then would reduce, I don't know, 40 or 50 hoops that we may have to jump through moving forward in the rest of the process. But we are steadily moving along. I've been participating in the meetings that the contractor and the designer are having with the regulatory agency. Things are moving along at their normal snail's pace, but we are moving forward. I anticipated a lot of questions, so I'll finish up so that you can get to them. Shoals Park, moving again very deliberately. There was a slight adjustment that the new contractor that we've signed the contract with made some suggestions, and then that was really well received by the Division of Forestry, who is on behalf of the St. John's Water Management District kind of managing the permitting process, and that really looks like it's going to be maybe pay some dividends for the county and moving that project forward, because it also falls right in line with some mitigation elements. So that's a project that we feel really good about, and we're just hoping that the wheels start moving faster on the Washington D.C. side. I wanted to reference just a little bit about the proposals. If you have not had a chance to see what they're proposing, what the FEMA Review Council proposed, there are some things on there that will absolutely, if they come true, significantly affect our county and a lot of other counties. There was one element that I thought, though, that had the potential to really positively affect our county, and not many of those things that I think were positive from the Review Council's final report. And that is that there's some talk that what they may do is move all of the existing projects and the existing storms going all the way back, I think even before Michael, to the new process. And this new process is a mindset more than a process. There's not a lot of nuts and bolts to support how it's going to happen and that kind of thing. But it really does look like they're trying to shift to more of a mitigation style to do what we actually did during the storms in 2024, which was put the mitigation included in our repair and our reconstruction process. Well, there now appears to be a significant appetite to move that way. And one of the things they're talking about doing is moving all of those existing projects now into these guidelines, which would absolutely bode well for all of our projects because they all incorporate mitigation into them. And I think it's a real opportunity there. We may see some positive reception and reflection from not just FEMA, but from the state, because that's another thing that they're doing is pushing a lot of that to the state. But the NFIP side of things, I think planning ahead is going to be difficult. And I will come back and say that supporting LaDonna's position earlier, and we had been talking about that the community rating system, that CRS, with what they're possibly looking to do with NFIP. And from what I'm understanding right now through executive order, this may come so fast that we don't have a chance to prepare for it. That CRS may be the next thing, because if they move from the National Flood Insurance Program to private insurance, I think that's going to impact our citizenry on a very big way. And I think the CRS is going to become incredibly important to helping our citizens afford to be able to cover their properties that are in those flood zones. And so with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them now.
Commissioner Mobley?
Regarding Steel Bridge, so it's just stagnant at this point, right?
Yes, sir. And so if you want me to be frank, the problem was the price tag that came in on that project. FEMA never really wrapped their head around it.
Right.
To be honest with you,
they didn't agree with the price.
Well, they costed it at $1.1 million at one point.
Right.
And then rescinded it for reasons unknown to us.
Sure.
And then resubmit something well south of $400,000 for what they deem as reasonable. So, but they asked us questions. They made an accusation that we had violated our procurement policy. We demonstrated that we had not violated the policy. They asked us a handful of very specific questions. We gave them, in all honesty, we already had the RFP process, the scoring, the entire process. And so we answered every one of the RFIs, and it just never came back. It's like it fell into a void. And so right now, we really don't know. We know where it is. It's with the CIT, from what we understand, the critical infrastructure team. But we have no idea why it hasn't moved forward one way or the other, which we hope is positively, but we have no idea why it hasn't moved. And I can't get a straight answer out of FEMA right now.
Okay. With the boat ramps specifically, with the Nordic Group, were they under a time? Did that contract have a time frame on it?
It had windows, but if you, I don't know if you do remember, but the permitting, as with every single project,
Right.
every single RFP we got back, and every single contract says, hey, permitting is the thing that takes time, and they don't get to control that. I think they had identified maybe up to 3 months or 4 months for the permitting, but said that it could go longer.
Yeah.
So my understanding is they had a construction schedule basically once design was approved and once the permits are issued.
Yeah, sure.
That's where it is.
Okay.
And honestly, we are actually ahead of what we would anticipate for the schedule, and having the unified review folks on board, Agahe, who's that member from the FEMA side of things, has really been beneficial, because we have seen some streamlining happen already and some suggestions coming from them to say, hey, have you considered, or is this a possibility? And I think part of that was borne out in this general permit that they're questioning. The thing there's some, you have to be eligible under, and so right now that's exactly what AMI and Nordic are doing, is they're tweaking to make sure they fit into those parameters. But based off of the email from last week, it does appear that they feel positively about their opportunity to apply under that general permit and save a lot more hoops.
Okay.
If you have no questions, thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for your time.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Moving on to pending business report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, just get to the right page here. So starting at the top, we just talked about the boat ramp, so I don't believe there's anything further to discuss there. St. Mary's Shoals Park, so on your consent agenda tonight, you actually did approve a new camp host agreement, so we're excited to have Mr. Roden move on the property and join us by being our camp host.
Who happens to be a county employee.
He does happen to be a county employee, actually does work in our fire rescue department. And so we're happy to have him there, and the skill set, honestly, that he brings with him being on site is beneficial. In addition to that, at Shoals Park, we did get a little bit of a schedule change on our park install equipment. Just to remind you all, we are putting some playground equipment on the OHV side of the park up near the restroom facilities. We had originally gotten a date from our vendor of April the 7th. Unfortunately, there's been some shipping delays, and so that's got us pushed back to June 15th. Is when we expect that equipment to be installed. Shouldn't take more than a few days, typically 3 days at the max for them to be able to do those installs for us. But again, no concerns there. Again, just problematic issues with like I said, the shipping of that equipment. Moving down the list, and please stop me if I'm moving too fast. NAB Sports Complex. Again, we are set to begin construction on June 15th. I did have some conversations today with some of our volunteer groups, and they would like to plan to be here at your next meeting on June 2nd to talk about what the plans look like and to show you those drawings for that concession stand bathroom design as well. So that will be presented to you all in the next at the next commission meeting. We're really excited to be able to see that come to fruition as well.
Miss Sarah, when they come, can you also bring us some type of a list of the needs?
Oh, absolutely.
Continue?
Yes, sir.
I just don't want to drop the ball on what our needs are. 'Cause when you got a thing
future
moving,
funding.
if you can keep it moving, you get a lot more work done.
Yes, sir.
And I just don't want it to die after that. So
I have
that's-
full confidence that they have a wish list
I'm
in
sure
their
they
pockets.
do, within reason.
But yes, sir, we have talked
I
about that.
just
We'll
don't
make
want-
sure that that's presented to you all.
Thank you.
Speaking on that real quick, did we get quotes back for each field?
On the lighting?
Yeah.
Yes, and we did share that with the group, and it was shared with FPL as well.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions on that? Okay. Courthouse generator appropriation project. We'd actually like to move that one's percentage up to 95% if we're being conservative. Honestly, that project is completely closed out. We did submit all of our reimbursement paperwork to the state today. So we have to show where payment has been made and the checks have been cleared, and sometimes that takes a little bit of a delay depending on who your vendor is. They may not, go to the bank every day, so sometimes you can see a little bit of a delay in that.
So basically, that's just a paperwork issue now.
Yes, sir, and all of
Okay.
that has been submitted to the state. Like I said, our reimbursement packet has been submitted. The only thing that we have at this moment is getting LV Hires by here to fill up the generator, because we were only allowed to put a very small amount of diesel in it for the test until we completed all of that. So we will have them come by and fill it up, and then receive the reimbursement back from the state. So we'll continue to leave that one on the pending business report just until we do get that reimbursement back. The Sanderson Center, we have been making really good progress there. The windows have been installed in the facility. Again, and the work on the bathrooms are underway. We had talked about at the last commission meeting about some ideas for flooring and different things, and so we're putting together some quotes for the upcoming budget workshops to be able to talk to you guys about how we might be able to spend just a little bit of money to get that a little better working condition than it is now. So again, very excited to see that project moving forward. And last but not least on our pending business report is the community development permit software. It is with great rejoice that I tell you all that the building department will go live tomorrow with staff. So they're
not rejoicing.
Yeah, they're not
We'll rejoice
rejoicing
tomorrow afternoon when everything has went well.
So this is the first step in the project and getting it made available to the public. Like I said, so staff has been training. They've had lots of calls and meeting sessions with the ADG, that's the provider for that. So again, like I said, tomorrow is the test for staff to be able to see how that goes. And roughly in about 30 days or so, given that there's no major problems once staff starts using that, is when the portal for all the internet users to be able to do that, the contractors and things like that. So we're about 30 days away from a completed project on that one.
So we'll get an update.
Well, I'm sorry, I could.
Sorry, is
Yeah.
there training scheduled for the contractors?
I think one of our commissioners has actually been advised that he can sit in on some of our training.
Once we to a point that we have that side of things
Absolutely.
ready to go, absolutely.
Yeah.
When they figure out how to use it, then they can teach me how to.
Absolutely. Yeah, let us learn it first and we'll teach you how to use it. But yes, we fully intend to have a day where staff is available for contractors to come in, sit down and try it in the office with us, let us walk them through it and make sure people are
I
comfortable.
guarantee if I
using
can do the city of Jacksonville, I can do.
Absolutely. I think so too. So we're excited about that. And with that,
So we can expect an update on that the end of June, second meeting in June?
yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know why that's going off. I apologize. We had a brush fire going just a few minutes ago, so I did have it open, but I don't know why it's playing it.
It's still dry. Pray for rain.
Absolutely. Just in full transparency, the reason why I was watching that was because it's at our park in Margaretta. So we do have staff there and they're addressing it, but we'll make sure everything's okay.
Moving on to expense reports over $5,000.
No comments from me, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Moving on to American Rescue Plan Phase 1 and 2.
No updates at this time. We are still working through getting a new way to present this to you all. One thing that I have been looking at from my perspective is rewording this this document. ARPA is actually a process that's been closed out. We don't need to refer to it as ARPA anymore. So we've been working on that in some ways to streamline this presentation to you all. But we will make sure that we bring that back to you. But there's no updates to the expenditures as presented.
No, Mr. Chairman, I've got one question. On the Cowler Fire Station, how close are we to pulling the trigger on a new building? The mobile home? I mean, if we were to fund, or if we were to have the staff available right now, how quick would it take to get that mobile home out there?
Well, Donna, how fast can you issue me a move-on permit?
I mean, you've got the trailer ready?
No, sir. They would have to pick out. They have shopped those in the past, which is where we got that number from. But obviously, we would have to find a mobile home that works for what our needs are, and then just the install process is ready.
Mobile homes are generally a quick turnaround.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're once we have the mobile home information, we're looking at a business day or two,
Yeah.
and that's worst case.
Right.
That's worst case.
Not much
scenario.
effort at all. Just
Yeah.
go to one of the
Well,
lots and make sure we find it.
Getting the mobile home specifics is generally the hardest part. Once they have a make, model, serial numbers, it's.
My question, I don't want to sit here with Chief and approve a SAFER grant where we can hire firefighters to put them out there
Right.
and be a year from getting your mobile home
No.
able to be put on site. So
No, sir.
I just want
Yeah.
a time frame and get it in year.
Once we have an installer ready to install a mobile home, we're looking at a 1 to 2 day turnaround on it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is worst case scenario.
Okay.
Yeah. And from our perspective, the well, the septic, all of those things, that's already been done. The only conversation that we would need to have is we had rough talks about maybe some type of walkway between the mobile home and the
Station.
and the station. You know, maybe to have like an outdoor eating area or something, just something that was covered in the event of the rain. You know, that maybe they didn't have to run through. You know, that. But other than that, that could happen while staff is there. That's not something that would have to be
I
done before.
just want to make sure there's not a 6 month.
Yes, sir. No,
window.
everything should be good.
If we were to, as a board, pull the trigger during budget season and
Right.
everything else to staff it come 9/1,
Right.
we don't want to pull the trigger then, and it'd be 6 months from then getting your trailer there. So I just want to make sure we got it on cue.
Right.
The biggest holdup that we see is from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yeah.
Generally, if they are purchasing a mobile home that is already built,
Yeah.
because if it's not a custom built mobile home, that there's not hold up there. We are seeing some of the custom-built mobile homes.
Taking some time.
From a manufacturing standpoint. They're
This-
waiting a couple of months.
This would be my recommendation to staff, simple recommendation. Get a floor plan that you're gonna need out of a mobile home, so you'll know, if for one thing, you'll know what size you gotta have to get what you need. You can have all that design, pre-designed, and then you can go ahead and RFP all that, have it ready. So when we get the SAFER grant, we can move forward. What we don't wanna do, I agree with Commissioner Mobley, is we don't wanna sit on our hands
Right.
and then wait till we get the SAFER grant and then go out and get a floor plan, and then we go out and decide what color we want it. And all this simple stuff that could be handled now.
Yes.
So I would recommend that we get with the chief when we get exactly what we need, because I think this board actually needs to see what plan they're coming up with before we do any RFPs or anything.
Yes.
But that could be done now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get with the plan about that. We actually did have a floor plan and a mobile home that we looked at and priced.
Right.
I don't know that there would be any changes necessary to it. I think it worked then. It would still work now, but absolutely we can make sure
Let's
that's
get that,
taken care
and
of.
then maybe at the next board meeting or next month. Anyway, we're looking at a plan of
Right.
this is what we're going to do. This is a timeline roughly. You can ask the manufacturer, because we got to bid it.
Right.
This is not something we're just gonna go down there and buy. It's gotta be bid.
Exactly. And all that's going to take time. That's why let's go ahead and get that ball rolling.
Yeah.
Because if we were to get this grant and it's available 9/1, I want to make sure we got people out there 9/2. You know what I mean? And so let's get that ball rolling.
Exactly.
And to back up what Tyler, because I went to the lot, bought a home on the lot, and it was 4.5 months before I could move into it. And after everything set up and everything, so unless you know, you're going to have that setup time that we can't control.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's where we run into it, is from a manufacturing side, and being ready to actually be pulled onto the property.
Yeah.
With it already having the well and septic and everything, that we don't have those hurdles to go through, and then it's kind of in the wheelhouse of whoever's installing the mobile home and making sure that we use an installer that's gonna.
If it does have to have a double floor or reinforced floor, then you're talking about them building it for you and getting into process. So we need to identify all those special needs before we get there.
Yes, sir.
And you need to talk with your building inspector to see the requirements that's going to be set forth, because this is going to be for commercial use and not residential use, because it's a fire station.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Absolutely. And,
So
and
that-
Chief
that-
Nelson and Brian had those discussions too, but we'll make
So
sure there's no changes to any of that.
Reinforced flooring, as Commissioner was talking about, there are other issues too that could be brought up, and we need to make sure we nip all them in the butt before we get to it.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, we got the money sitting there for this trailer, and this is what it's intended for. So
Right.
I don't want any delays when it comes to that. So
Right,
let's get it.
right. And those aspects, that when we're looking at that floor plan ahead of time, that's when we're gonna weed those out. That way, when we've actually got something that meets those parameters, it's already been approved and we're ready to
Because
go.
what you're going to do is you're going to have an ADA ramp to get into that's going to all have to be engineered and designed.
Your door width for mobile homes, standard mobile home
Oh.
does not meet ADA requirements most of the time, so we're gonna have to.
There's a lot of things you need to look at. We need to get a plan, that Brian look at the plan, approve the plan. That's one step that we can knock out. You're gonna have to get well, I know we have 8 engineers on that we can get, but we're gonna have to have an ADA ramp to get into that mobile home.
We'll talk to Brian about it too, on what the ADA requirements are too.
I mean,
Yeah, like I said, the actual permitting part, that's not an issue. It's getting us
That's right.
to the point that.
Yeah,
we're
that's
ready
that's
to do
my
that.
point. Let's just get that ball rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on to fiscal year 24-25 audit update. Mr. Mobley.
Yes, sir. I'm going to read the email, the Baker County audit update from Tuesday this morning at 8:54 a.m. Good morning, y'all. Please see below for an update on the status of the request list and audit. All audits are progressing well and on track to meet the deadline! Exclamation mark. Baker County Board of County Commissioners request list is 95% fulfilled. Audit is in progress, and the next round of follow-up is expected to be added to the SureLink this week. The clerk request list is 98% fulfilled. Audit is in progress and initial follow-up is expected to be added to SureLink this week. Sheriff request list is 98% fulfilled. Audit is in progress and initial follow-up received back on SureLink. So it's already been sent out and received back on SureLink at this point. Supervisor of election, the request list is 97% fulfilled. Audit is in the review phase with minimal follow-up expected. Property appraiser request list is 100% fulfilled. Audit is in review phase with minimal follow-up expected. Tax collector request list 100% fulfilled. Audit is in the review phase with minimal follow-up expected. Please let us know if you have any questions. So I'm pleased to announce that right there. There's a lot of moving parts to this. Definitely pushing forward at this time. Glad to see that we're in the review phase with the majority of the audit, and the audit is in progress. So right now James Moore is moving through with it, and it's a pleasure to read that email right now. Right now we're a little over a month away from the deadline, and right now we're on track and progressing very well.
Praise the Lord.
That's great news. Any questions or comments about the audit report? Thank you, Commissioner Mobley. Very good.
Sorry.
We're down to number 8, County Manager.
I do not have anything further at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. County Attorney.
Nothing additional, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Mobley.
Commissioner Mobley, threw a curveball. Yes, sir. I went down and I was going to announce that the animal control building went and looked at it. I want to say Saturday. Animal control building looked very good.
Looks good. Yeah.
Yep, they were finishing pressure washing, 90% done with the paint at that point. They were cutting in the trim and everything looked good on that end.
Yeah, they actually are complete. We'll be happy to share some pictures.
Should have
with you
got
guys.
Chris Lee while he was here. Do you know about the Willis Road or the Willis Hodges Road on where we're at with that project?
That project is complete, given the funding that we have for it.
It's complete at this point. Okay. And then the debris removal contract. Where are we at on the debris removal? I know the RFP came back.
It did. We had a really good response. I think there were 8 in total. Yeah. And so that has been distributed to our evaluation review team. We typically give about a 30-day time frame on that many responses for review. And then it'll go through a scoring process, and then we'll present that back to you guys. So they've had the proposals for about a week and a half now. So we've got a few weeks.
I know that's
before-
super important on the emergency
Absolutely.
management part of it. So I'm glad that we can get that in line.
Yeah, and Dennis and John are part of our review committee.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I should have called him before he left.
Yes, sir.
Lime Rock RFP, that's still out right now.
That is
correct?
out. Yes, sir.
125 updates. I should have called them while they were all here. Lord have mercy. 125 updates. I know we were going to try to get the millings from that road. Or
Not
that
on
the-
125. That's
the
229.
229.
The other one that you guys just did the time
for
extension
Blue
on.
Hole Road. So we don't have an anticipated start date on that one yet.
No, sir, not yet. But they are less than 60 days out.
Both of those pertain to Blue Hole Road. That's why I just wanted to bring it up because I know that we're still working on either getting Lime Rock there
Right.
or getting the millings there
Right.
in order to improve that road again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, we are still in a burn ban. I know we've got rain. We're praying for rain continually. Just want to remind everybody we're still in a burn ban.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Iverson.
I have none.
Commissioner Anderson.
He got one of mine, so I'm gonna let it go at that.
Commissioner Hartley.
I just got a couple. The lights at the park in Sanderson, or I
Okay.
had somebody ask me about that, wanting lights put up there at the baseball field, if there's a way we can afford to do that. That was a request from some of the residents.
Yes, sir.
There.
Absolutely. We'll get some prices on it, and we can
Okay.
make it a part of the budget workshop discussions for sure.
Talking about Jonesville.
The Jonesville Park rehab, resurfacing the ball court, stuff like that. There's several things there that need to be addressed.
talking about the Sanderson Community Center, we are putting new doors up, aren't we?
Half.
Okay, half already?
half.
Yeah, so that was
'Cause
one of the
When I went
first
by
things
there
they
the
did.
last time it wasn't, so I just want to make sure that was
They
still
already
going to
have.
happen.
We
Yeah,
addressed that
okay.
pretty quickly because
That's
it was a
good.
safety
Yeah, because they were
problem.
terrible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bathroom's like 99%. I mean, it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, it's close,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
sir.
close to all being finished, but the flooring and the,
Oh, good.
the inside getting decorations.
Beautified. It's got-
Okay, that's all I have.
All right. Appreciate the,
Can I respond on his light?
Please.
Make sure we touch base with FPL Carroll on the lighting for Donesville Park. Sometimes they have good advice, sometimes they have polls that they can give us. There's a lot of things
And I
that,
think they're
in-kind
Clay
donations they
Electric.
can do.
They're
They
Clay
are,
Electric.
that we actually have had conversations with
Oh, they're
FPL, but
Clay
it has to
Electric.
be
They
in
are
their
Clay
service
Electric.
area,
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that
so
was
when we
correct.
partnered
I
with
already
FPL.
checked there.
Yeah, when we, I had some conversations with Carol
Well,
a
let's
few
talk to
years
Clay
ago.
Electric.
Yes, sir. If you can get anybody to answer the phone.
Well, I
that's the
used to
only
have
problem.
Clay Electric and they
Yeah,
won't.
they won't answer the phone. But when we talked about that with Carol, she wanted to do a park project, and the only one that met what FPL had to offer at the time was Veterans Park, which is when we did the aerator system, and they
Okay.
gave us $25,000 for that. We actually did prefer Jonesville Park was our first choice for them, but it was not in their service area.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
the FPL donation to Station 50 and Station 50's second floor completion. Could you speak on that before I?
Yes, sir. I really don't have a lot of details on it just yet, but FPL did donate some new state-of-the-art presentation screen system to the training facility at the Glen Station for the staff to be able to use there. They had some people with FPL on site last week, and our IT staff met out there with them. I apologize, I don't have the details on what that system was. When Don and I talked about it, it was very brief, and he didn't have the details yet either. So I'll be happy to get that information and share it with you all on exactly what it was. But it was a very nice presentation system. They were very excited to be able to get it because it was not something we included in our budget for that.
A good donation by FPL.
Absolutely.
Very nice facility we've got there. They're moving in some equipment and stuff still in the very final stages of completion, but that's going to be a nice training facility for the fire and rescue. We got Chief Blanton and the new captains. A lot of good things happening with fire and rescue. You've heard us imply a lot of that we're wanting to move forward in Kyler. We need to move forward there. We're doing what we can to make something positive happen there in that part of the county. I've talked with Chief Blanton about a little more public information on the rescue helicopter lands here at the hospital. We have 14 other locations where that helicopter can touch down, and
Landing zones.
our fire stations are 3, but we have a lot of locations around where we can contact that rescue helicopter and get people the help they need quickly. So getting another station like Kyler online and having the staff there it doesn't just expand the reach of the rescue unit. It expands our reach and cuts our time in a lot of applications. So when you hear us talk about getting changes at Kyler and moving forward with that kind of stuff, it's significant what we can do. If you're north of Taylor or north of Kyler, it's a long time for us to get to you right now. 10 minutes, maybe longer. If we have staffing at Kyler, we could cut that in half in a lot of cases, but it's very important what we're doing there and what we're trying to do moving forward. You hear us talk about getting housing there, you hear us talk about improvements there and things that we've done in the past. All of those things we're preparing for where we are now, applying for this SAFER grant and moving forward in reducing that response time. Whether it's a fire, whether it's a heart attack, whatever it is, if it's your child or your family member, you want help there soon. And that's why you hear so much focus on fire and rescue and Kyler and that fire station and improvements that we've made. So that was a big thing for me tonight to have Chief Blanton here and the two captains here. Our organization is growing in effectiveness. We haven't changed a lot of numbers, but we're growing in effectiveness, and that's important to the people of Baker County. I appreciate all the participation we had here tonight, and I look forward to continuing to have a public conversation in our meetings. That was a great thing tonight, and hope it continues. That's all I have for this evening.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.